Every week I forget to change that quote at the end of the titles. Damn it. I don't know. Hey everyone, welcome. It's Sunday, it's Warhammer Sunday. It's that time of the week when I crack on with building some Warhammer stuff so it's ready for painting in hundreds of months' time. Welcome one and all. Yes, hello. I'm just trying to catch my breath because I just had to run up the stairs. Apologies. Yes, welcome one and all. It is time for me to crack on with some buildy. As always, before we get going, big shout outs to all the people that make all my content possible. Big massive thank yous to my patrons and channel members who support this channel directly, and they keep it alive and they make it possible. Without them, this channel wouldn't exist, and I'd be, I don't know, playing video games and working 5 days a week, so you wouldn't have any of this. So big massive thank you to them. If you want to become a patron or a member and help out, you can either go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru and join there, or you can click the join button underneath any of my videos. Either way, you're really supporting the channel. You get access to loads of exclusive content and early access, ad-free and all that kind of good stuff. And also, big shout out to my corporate supporters, emodels.co.uk and goblingaming.co.uk. You can see their symbols up there. Links for those two in the description below. Make yourself some massive savings on Games Workshop and loads of other stuff. 20% off GW, Malifaux, Conflict 47, and lots of savings and other stuff from Goblin, and big savings from eModels on all your model making stuff. They cover all your model making and tabletop needs. Links in the description below the video. Use them, it tells them I sent you, and I get some income. That's the bit out of the way from the beginning. Yes, hello everyone. I hate doing that bit, but I have to do it. Welcome. As always, if you're watching this, there's no chat there because the chat always breaks and I've turned it off. But there is chat on this video, so if you're watching this embedded in Facebook or Twitter, then just click on the YouTube icon in the bottom right hand corner of the video. That will take you to YouTube, where you can join in the live chat. And you should join in the live chat because I've got it here in front of me. And if nobody's in the live chat, that's just wasting my iPad battery. Yeah, join the live chat. It's a lovely time in there. It's all friends together. Nobody really gives a crap what I'm doing on telly here, what I'm building. It's all about hanging out with your friends in the chat. It doesn't really matter why. Or what I just waffle for 3 hours and build one thing, so it doesn't really matter what I'm up to. It's more just a place. It's like all hanging out in WhatsApp, if that's what the kids use today, or in my day it was AOL chat rooms, I suppose, and going back a bit. It's all like hanging out with your mates in WhatsApp. It just happens to be some middle-aged bloke waffling and gluing little plastic men together. So yes. Have a quick look at chat and see who is in. We have Mayhem Modelworks and the Raging Model are both in at the same time. They always come in together. I'm beginning to wonder about them too. Mayhem Modelworks and Raging Model say ping and pong. We have Plastic Monkey, welcome to you, and Nim Cinderin, welcome Nim. Hello to all them. We have Paul Di Tommaso, hello Fox, Mayhem, Raging, Nim, Chaos, and everyone else. Welcome Paul. Candy Grandfamongo is in, of course, and Graham McRoberts in. Welcome to you too. We have Joseph Kelly. Everybody's giving me lots of hugs and things and hearts because Fester told them to do it on his stream with Dave earlier on. So thanks, dude. So Joseph Kelly gives me lots of hearts and hugs. He says Colin said to do this. David Sanderson says hello everyone. Welcome to you too. Carl at Making Models in. Welcome Carl. Scale Modeling Chaos is in. Lee Stevenson and Colin are both in. Fester at 67's Workshop and Scaly Models are both two of your moderators. Lovely blokes. Little forest creatures with ginormous eyes that will make you want to snuggle them and hug them and give them little noogies on the cheeks. But if you cross them, they'll keep you safe, but if you cross them, they will dissolve you in acid and then feed the acid to the wolves, and then the wolves will die, obviously. So they'll have the wolves diced up and then fed to the pigs, and then the pigs will just be launched into the sun. So yeah, don't cross the mods. It's not going to end well for you. But big dad hugs and Fester hugs to Dad and Colin. Welcome. We have Wayne Hayward's in. Welcome, Wayne. And Nim is in. Let's have a look. I recognise that figure, says Colin. Yes. Friday flashbacks. Name wouldn't be one of your streams if you didn't forget something. Yeah, I always forget to change the quote at the end because it requires me to go in and change an image, but it's not a problem. It's just I keep forgetting to do it. Raging Model's in, fiddling around with a new banner for YouTube. Thomas Lee Dunkley's in, says hi. Welcome, Thomas Lee Dunkley. I don't think I've seen you in chat before, so welcome. Bobbins 9000 says, good day, one and all. Good day, sir. How are you, sir, today, sir? Good day. Dad, of course. Now, Dad is poorly sick at the minute. Dad's very poorly sick. He's not well at all. He's laid up in bed with his iPad watching all the internets. And when we're not streaming... It puts the lotion in the basket. There. When we're not streaming, he watches porn. But other than that, so do have sympathies for Dad. Give him lots of hugs, Dad hugs, because he's not very well. He's poorly at the minute, so he's still here and he's still doing stuff. Good lad. But make sure you're resting up, Dad. But of course, he asks the most important question of all: what's on your bench and what's in your belly? It's a model making stream, so it's bench and belly. What you're working on, it doesn't have to be a model. Could be a piece of artwork or a drawing or a shelf, or I don't know. You could be stuffing a chicken. I don't know. You could be mounting a animal on a plinth to put on you. I don't know what you're doing. It could be anything creative. What are you doing? What's on your bench? And what's in your belly? What are you having for your dinner? Or what have you had for your dinner? Fox is like a dodgy cowboy builder. Tell your models it will take him 2 months to complete a build. 3 years later, they are still waiting for the kit to arrive. I'm like the reverse of Geordie. The reverse of Scotty. I say it'll take 2 hours. In Geordie's case, or Scotty, he says it'll take 2 hours, does it in an hour. He's a miracle worker. I say it'll take 2 weeks. It'll take 7 weeks. Just me. I'm like reverse Scotty. Sarah Jane is in, says, I'm here. Welcome, Sarah Jane. Underdog Painting says, woof. Welcome, Underdog. Fest 67's workshop gives lots of hugs and smileys and all kinds of weird girly things. I could get worried about you now, Colin. Lee Stevens says, belly is fish finger sandwich and more Tao stuff. Funnily enough, we might be having fingers for tea tonight. Where are we up to? Bench is being oh, hang on, missed one out. Bobbin says, belly tonight, tuna pasta thing, bench painting on 1:1 scale lounge. Excuse me. Nim says, bench is being prepped for D&D today, but I did prime my Jeep and figures for my World War II boxing match yesterday. Belly is coffee and some strawberry and banana Greek yogurt. Oh, yes. Scale model and chaos. Bench, fry up at lunchtime and having sirloin steak and chips for dinner. Bench. I think you got that bit wrong there. Bench, Mongtoon Pershing tank, painting for video build. Yes. Mayhem Model Works in response to Dad being sick, I assume, says, oh dear, how sad, never mind. If you don't know why I'm doing it in that specific voice, you're not British from the 1970s or 80s. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. I have a hint of Welsh in it. Lots of give hugs for Dad from Lee. Muse wanders in and sits down. Welcome, Muse. Wayne Haywood, bench. Wild West Exodus posse, belly, roast chicken lunch. Oh, yes, welcome, Wayne. Scale Model Muse does lots of foxy hugs. Raging Modeler, bench, Battlestar Galactica Viper Mark II, Orc Death Dread and Painboy, belly, 2 bags of Monster Munch, Pickled Onion and Flaming Hot respectively. Yes, this is correct. Coffee for the moment, says Muse. The eyes are still not awake yet. What about the rest of you? As long as your eyes are awake, that's all you need to... You don't even need your ears for me to listen to me. Right, so, what are we doing this week? Well, we are carrying on with... We are still very slowly going through our Combat Patrol, Space Wolves Combat Patrol. If you remember, I started building some Space Wolves bits, so I decided I'll just build an entire force of Space Wolves. So I've done the Prophecy of the Wolf Space Marines that Simon Reynolds, 2 times Golden Demon winner, sent to me, or sold me even. It wasn't being generous, he sold them to me for money. It was mercenary. So he's a nice lad, but he still take the money. So he sold me that, and I've done those, so now it's building the Combat Patrol. As you know, with Warhammer Sundays, I don't do any painting on this show. This is just my time to get stuff built, my own personal builds, so it's then built and painted ready for when I want to film the painting. I do need, at some point, to build things to paint for you guys, so this is the only time I get to do it. So, there you go. So we're building the Combat Patrol. We've built Ragnar Spanglebong, what's his name? Haldor Icepelt. We've built Haldor Icepelt, and he's stored away in the storage crate. I've not built the dude yet, because we're cracking on with the Indomitus Walker, or as we like to call it, my first mobile suit. Or perhaps a Xeon worker suit. It's quite adorable. It's like a tiny... I say tiny, it's like 25 foot tall, but it's like a little tiny Gundam even. So we're building that. I've built so far the gams. We've got the gams done. And on Colin's stream on Friday, on Colin's midnight stream, I got a bit more of the torso done. You won't, unless you watch Colin's stream, you won't have seen it, but I had some issues with these two side panels. This one and this one. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but lately, all the modern vehicle kits, like the Repulsor and the Outrider motorbikes and this, I've had fit issues, like monster fit issues. I don't know why. In the Repulsor, if you remember, my side armour wouldn't fit together because I didn't follow I followed the instructions, which was my mistake. And that had to be heavily modified with battle damage to make it look normal. With the Outrider bikes, I had a big gap through the top armour that I had to cover with plastic card and other bits and bobs. With these two side pieces did not fit. There is here a little tab that sticks out there, and on the inside of that there's a little step, like a little block of plastic, and on this piece there's a little notch cut out which is supposed to fit around the notch. It's like a key and lock. There's the thing. It's supposed to go like that. They didn't line up. They just did not line up. So what I had to do was cut a little bit extra of a notch out of the side armour just to make the little notch a little longer, and then they fit perfectly. So I don't know what it is with modern vehicles lately. Whether it's just me, or there's a bad run, or there's just really something going wrong at the design stage and the manufacture stage at Games Workshop at the minute. I don't know, but the Primaris stuff, I'm getting nervy now about doing any Primaris vehicles. Like, I really don't want to necessarily build another Repulsor-based vehicle for Primaris, because it's like, yeah, that was not fun. So I don't know, it's probably just me being inept, but you know, go and watch the stream on Colin's channel. I had to literally physically cut an extra notch out of this to make it fit. Weird. Who knows what's yet to come? So it could be me. Probably is me. But we're going to crack on with this. We have got up to step 12, where that's not a step really. We've done that step, so I need to mark that off. Where's my pen of marking? Pen of marking says. There we go. Now I've not glued the two weapons in. I've made a mark on my finger. I've not glued these two weapons in place. They just sit in place so you can play with them. But what I am going to do, most likely, is actually glue them in, because they're not exactly a snug fit, but there is a very slight potential here when you're painting these. You can get to this bit, you can paint it, you can do that and get to that bit. But I don't want to take the risk, although very, very unlikely. I don't want to take the risk that this cowling scrapes any paint off that cover there. It probably won't, but I don't want to take the risk. You know, you spend hours painting this thing and then you go, scrape. So what I'm going to do is probably end up gluing these weapons into a position of some sort. I mean, that will be easier for storage, and then I can pull them down for gameplay, but I'll probably just glue them in place, fix them into position, but I'll see how it goes. I'll get the whole thing built first. Now what we need to do is build the dude that goes in the cockpit, and also some of the armour panels. Now I need to do a quick dry fit of the armour panels to see if I can paint them when they're on. If I can, I'll glue them on. Where are we? Where are we? Let's have a look. Belly apple slices with peanut butter, says Joseph Kelly. Bench laminating a big hunk of plastic to lathe into a little hunk of plastic. Ah yes, reductionist materials. I'm sure there is some plastic I could be painting or something, says Muse. Making models, says chin in, chest out. Now, my lovely boy, there you go. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. Oh then, now then. No, that's something else, don't do that. Fester's workshop. Dad had trapped wind and blew himself into the ceiling, hence why he's laid up. There you go. like a Saturn V rocket. They've forgotten the name of the F1. They're called F1, weren't they? F1 engines. Like a Saturn V F1 engine. Dad probably saw the bill Psycho built up using his credit card. There could be that as well. People talking about lathes. Trapped wind is no fun, really painful, says David Sanderson. Dad, trust me, if there's one thing Scaly Models or Dad will never have, it's trapped wind, because he's the least possible person to ever have his wind trapped. Trust me on that one. Lovely boy, says Mayhem Model Works. Gonna grab a few more Z. See you later, says Paul Di Tommaso. He's Canadian, so he might have said Z. He probably said Z, actually, so I've just messed that up on two fronts. Gonna catch a few more Zs. Catch you all later, says Paul. Take care, Paul. Sleep well, matey. Peppermint tea is what you need, says David Sanderson. Coffee is what you need. And Wendy Hickson's in, says, good afternoon, all. Hugs all around. Fox, Scaly Models, and everybody else. Welcome to Wendy. Welcome. Right, so let's crack on, shall we? Joseph Kelly says, I glue a screw into the bottom of my stock and mount it in a hand drill. Moving on. I've got an itch on my shoulder blade. Time to get the back scratcher out. Hang on. Oh, that's the spot. Oh, there you go. It's on a back scratcher. Since I've got old, back scratchers have become very important. So we're going to try these armour panels. Like I said before, it's a case of can I glue them on and get them to paint them, or do I need to leave them off? So let's find out. So we need part numbers 17, 18, 19, and also 20. There we go. Let us remove these from the sprue that we may glue them to the bodywork if required. I need my lenses of seeing. Now remember, folks, I'm about to put on, when I can find them, my lenses of seeing. I do have the chat here in front of me, but because I'm an old man and rubbish, once I put these lenses on, that's just a big fat blur that goes. So if you want to catch my attention in chat, and please do, because it gives me stuff to talk about, please either put your comment in big fat capital letters so it stands out a little bit and I know there's something there, or you can @ me like that so it puts my name in orange, @modelmakingguru, and I will notice your comment. Or if you want to, and if you want to help support the channel at the same time, you can be very, very kind and do a super chat by clicking the dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. That puts your comment in a colour box, but also supports the channel as well, and it helps me, keep the lights on and pay the bills. So that's always a welcome option as well. You don't have to, it's not obligatory, but it's a really nice way to help keep the channel alive. So put it in caps, @ me, or do a super chat. That way I don't miss your comment. If I do miss your comment, apologies. Just give it 3 or 4 minutes and type it again. I'll see it eventually. Right. 17, 18, 19, and 20. 17, 18, 19, and 20. Let's get these off the sprue. I have to make the sprue cutting noise. 18 and 20. These are on some big chunks of sprue for some reason. They've got a big chunk of sprue there, so I'm going to cut away from the plate, because then I can tidy that up in a minute. Sometimes you do get like big honking gates, or I like to call them. I know they're not really. I like to call them twigs. Now this one here, I can't quite get to that because the nippers come right up to the edge of the piece. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do instead is put it off there. Now, it is entirely possible that it would give me a nice straight edge when I cut that, but because I'm forced to, and these are not my fine nippers, I don't want to risk doing that and taking a big chunk out of it. So I'll cut it off with that big chunk of twig, and then we can go in with the nice nippers. I don't know what I will do if these god hands ever die. I'll be absolutely knackered. Because I'm in the UK, you can't get god hands without spending a small fortune. These were gifted to me. They're a very nice gift. I treasure them dearly. But this one also got a chamfer to it, so I need to come in from an angle and go like that. Not ideal, but it's a bit thicker than I would normally like to cut with my god hands, but if I use the other ones, I will just destroy everything. It was near the end of the nippers, but I had to do. Anyway, I hope everyone is well. How is everyone? I hope you're all... I don't know where that went. I hope you're all well and fine and dandy. It's Sunday. I hope you've had a good weekend. I hope you're all doing okay. And Dad, I know you're not doing okay right now, but get better soon. No updates from me this week. Again, another week where I intended fully to film some more of the eBay Rescue Tabletop Trauma Centre Lehman Russ. And again, another week where real life completely took over and left me with absolutely no time at all to do any of that. Very frustrating is sitting there looking at me, and I'm getting a bit knocked off with it now. I want to get it done, dusted, and just real life gets in the way. Because I only have a few days during the week when I can work on it. Because I've got other stuff I need to do, and real life stuff, and other stuff for the channel. And it's quite frustrating. I have a few days dedicated to filming, and if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But of course, with that not getting done, it's delaying. It's almost like it turns sideways in a very narrow waterway of some sort. Perhaps he says too soon. I don't know. A little bit of current events. So yeah, that's a bit frustrating. So that's not happened. In other news, though, some things have arrived. Packages have. I'm not filmed opening them because I didn't have time. So I received some more very thin super glue, CA glue. I was running low on that. So I've got some more CA glue. I've got some Bob Smith Industries thin CA. And it was weird. I went to the I needed to get some Bob Smith Industries CA. Normally I get it from e-bottles, but they didn't have any in stock. So I kind of just did a Google search and there's a Bob Smith Industry website. I'll go there. I'll get it directly from them this time. And I went in and I thought, well, I might need to come here again. I'll just register because then it's easier than putting in my address. And it's like, it said, we've already got an account with that email address. I'm like, what? I've registered here before? Turns out I'd registered before at the Bob Smith website and not even remembered. I would have the password stored and everything. So I got myself some thin CA glue, and I got myself, I'll show you, these have got to go under the desk, but I've got a gammy knee at the minute. Hang on. You know, I've got my little bottle of activator for CA glue. I didn't know you could get refills. So I've got a nice big fat refill of CA activator, and I filled up my spray bottle and used that much. This is going to last me like 3 or 4 years. You go, and I like the fact it's in a brown bottle because it's UV activated, I think. So if you do have that kind of stuff, don't leave it on the window ledge, it'll just kill it. I've got some more. I know it's not very exciting. I never said it was an exciting news update. I never said it was anything new, anything amazing. So some CA glue arrived. If they do go look at the Display version 3, says Lee, I may well do. I may do. They're certainly easier to get here in the UK than God hands, but I do love my God hands. So yeah, some CA glue arrived, and that's in no way exciting. I also received some more Deathcore of Krieg. If you remember, I had my Deathcore of Krieg from Forge World, and I had let's say, a not pleasant experience trying to glue the arms on, which then made me decide that instead what I would do is just buy pre-built ones off eBay that people already built and primed maybe, and they're just selling them, because I didn't want to fight with the arms again. Well, I thought, no, that's not good enough. I want to, if I just go around buying all pre-made ones all the time, I'm not really supporting Forge World. And if everybody did that, there'd be no money for them, and they just stop making them. I'd rather buy the real thing. Because a couple of the ones I bought from eBay that are like Deathcore, assembled and primed, you get them, they're not Forge World Deathcore, they're remolds or they're copies, and it's like, they're not genuine. Because they've not got things like the Aquila on the helmet, and it's like, yeah, this isn't real Forge World, and I don't believe in buying reprints of existing kits or knockoffs because it's theft and illegal. I don't as an artist, I don't agree with that. So I'm not really happy buying not real stuff. So well, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna get some more Forge World. I'm gonna get some more Deathcore, and because it costs about, to be honest, you can buy on eBay, you can buy pre-made ones. Somebody's made them and primed them, and they usually charge about the same as a set anyway, so it's not going to cost me any more. I think it was about £1 difference, but at least I'm not supporting criminals with their recasts and remolds. So I thought, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to get 10 more. So I got Squad Advancing, I think it is, 10 dudes all legging it with their weapons drawn, and I'm pretty sure there were markings on the arms and shoulders as to which arm goes where, and I either didn't understand it or I didn't twig to it when I made my first 10, and that's why when I first built the first dude, I put the wrong arms on his torso, and that messed me up. So what I'm hoping is when I get them, that they do have clear markings on the arms, so I know which arm goes with which torso, and I'll be all right. Hopefully, I don't mind having to, like, heat bend them a bit to make the arm holding the rifle fit. Oh, I forgot to turn notifications off. Hang on a minute. That was clever. Let me turn notifications off so you don't see my emails pop up on the screen, which would be a bit dubious and not very cool. Especially as I'm a super secret agent and you're not allowed to see my super secret communiques with GCHQ. Shh, don't tell anyone I said that. Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping, it's from memory, because I've obviously glued them all together now. From memory, they have markings on the arms, and I'll know that it's like you've got 10. I think if I remember rightly, it's like you've got torso 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you've got left arms and right arms, and each one's got 1 to 10 on it. I think all in Roman numerals. I can't quite remember. I had a moment of doubt, but I couldn't find anywhere online that basically said that or not. I wasn't 100% sure, so I'm hoping when I get them, they are clearly marked. If they are, then it's just a case of me not being a numpty and paying attention to what I'm actually putting where and what the markings are, hopefully. If they're not marked at all, and it really is a jamboree free-for-all, guess which arm goes where, then I'm not going to be happy, but I'll have to figure it out. So we shall see. So hopefully I'll have 10 more deathcore. And at some point, I've got to paint the buggers. At some point, you get around to painting those gits. Right, so let's have a look and see. So we need to do these two are the front ablative armor. I've decided it's ablative armor. They might not be. And these two go there like that. So they've got little boxes. They stick out like that. I think that will be eminently paintable. I don't think that will give me any problems at all, because there's a little overhang there where the armor sticks out. I think we can easily paint that the right color. That's not a problem. So those two can get glued on. And these pieces attach. Oops. Like again, little notches. I don't think as well, because I'm not going to fix the arms on permanently, so I think they will also be eminently paintable. Yeah, I think we'll be fine gluing all those on. Let's glue them on now. There's the right ones. I think we have that right. I think. Double check. I could do it the other way, couldn't I? I could do it the wrong way around and have it that way. That would not make any sense. I think these are chiral, but I think it's pretty hard to get them messed up the wrong way, because that would look weird sticking out there. Yes, that one. That one goes there. That one goes on like. I love that joint there. There you go. That's dead easy. Right, let's get these glued on. I've just mixed them up, haven't I? Let me just put that back again. There and there. Yeah, so I kind of realised that after I got a couple of sort of deathcore sets and they weren't actual Forge World, I'm like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with this. These are knockoff Forge World, and I'm really not comfortable supporting property theft. You know, like knockoff remolds and stuff. Really, really not comfortable with that at all. Doesn't sit well with me. Same reason I won't buy knockoff reprints of Gumpler, because it's theft. And the thing is, sometimes that kind of stuff is crap on the brush. Sometimes that kind of stuff is just some bloke reprinting them, make some money, and sometimes it is actually linked to organised crime, and you're like, yeah, no, definitely don't want to be a part of that. So no, don't do anything that supports property theft, intellectual or otherwise. We've had this conversation before. It's a different story when it's something that's no longer in print. Like if it's a Forge World item that's no longer in print and they're never going to make it again, okay, that's a little bit different. But when it's something that you can still buy from Forge World and they still make, then no, that's not happening. So I got a bit uncomfortable with that. So I may just have to bite the bullet, hope that I can figure out the arms, and then go from there. It's a bit rough. Go from there. Goes there. Wrong way around, you spoon. Look at the spoonularity. I'll put this one on first, and then we'll do the little thin glue. Fatness or glue, put it in place. There we go. Touch of that. Yeah, so I don't know what it is with these vehicles lately. Whether it's just me being a spoon, or which is entirely likely. I mean, let's not mince words here, Bones. Not exactly impossible, but whether it's just me being a spoon or whether there are actual issues. I know with the repulsor, it does seem to partly boil down to if you follow the instructions, you can have fit issues, but if you do it your own way, you won't. You wouldn't steal a handbag, says Lee Stevenson. Have a look. Lee Stevenson said, I've just supported Forge World. Yay! The Arvana battlesuit should arrive on Tuesday. Can't look at that, but I think I know what it is. I know what that is, I think. Looking forward to it. Also need something for horde enemies, and this seemed to fit the bill. It seems like I've gone quiet, I probably have, as I'm falling down the rabbit hole of trying to find a good reference image for something. How many anime greatswords are there? Oh, wait. Yeah, all of them. I hope it arrives on Tuesday, as my wife will be in the office. And Lee says you wouldn't steal a handbag. Yeah, that's one of the little phrases that used in the sort of anti-intellectual property theft marketing. Like, you know, if you're buying ropey DVDs off the guy on a street corner, you're probably supporting organised crime, because they usually do. And you say you wouldn't steal a handbag, so why would you steal a film or a program or something? Anyway, not that this is the discussion for this live stream. So we've got that. We have the dude. Now it's time to make a dude. Look at the dudularity. If you need to get another Arvana, because mine got damaged as a local club from this guy I played, he didn't like me killing Typhus in combat, so he threw it across the room. Really? I hope you actually called the police. And somehow got him to pay for it. Because if somebody picked up my model off a table and threw it across the room and smashed it, I would phone the police and say, this man's destroying my property. Please, can you arrest him for property damage? I hope you did that. Because that kind of person shouldn't be allowed back in that store and should not be allowed to play with anybody. I literally would call the police. That's no different to taking your phone off you and standing on it, or I don't know, smashing your car windows, or anything like that. Taking your jacket and ripping it. It's criminal damage. Hope you call the police. Right, dude. We need the dude. Where's the dude? Dude. Yeah, the dude. The dudularity. So we got torso, main body, armage, handage, and bonsulatories. Right, so this shouldn't be too hard, but I have to keep in mind, I've got to test fit my head. Now, I am doing these as Space Wolves, remember. Now, as with a lot of the Space Wolf stuff at the moment, unfortunately, it's not particularly Space Wolfy. A lot of the boxed Space Wolves, the Primaris stuff, you can, of course, buy Space Wolves that look like Space Wolves. They've got all the fur and dangly bits. But a lot of the times, with the Primaris stuff, not the old Marines, it's just Primaris Marines, and they give you the upgrade sprue for a couple of bits, which is a bit gimpy, really. It's a bit rubbish. And so this is just the Invictus battlesuit with no Space Wolf add-ons at all, I don't think. Just an Primaris dude. So what we need to do, what I need to do with a lot of these guys, is make them a bit more Space Wolfy. Torso, chest, arms, hand, bonds. So what I need to do, I have a choice of 3 heads. I've got the full helmet head, the I'm not happy but I'm really scowling head, hope it's on camera, or the I've got half a helmet head. I'm going to use none of those, because what we're going to use is one of the Space Wolves heads that Andy Sutherland sent me. Now this is 3D printed, and going off the conversation we just had about knockoffs, this is a head you can't buy from. It's not exactly the same as a Space Wolf head. You can buy that one upgrade sprue that has one Space Wolf head, but this is just a 3D print one. There you go. This is kind of 3D printing is a weird area, because a lot of 3D printing stuff you can just find it and print it for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and nobody's making a profit on it. Which is, that one's a kind of grey area, because technically Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, that one, in the copyright issue. It's kind of ironic I'm doing this now. I've just had that whole conversation about copyright issues, but yeah. But this is, you know, nobody's going to spend £10 on an upgrade sprue for one head. It's not exactly the same, but we'll see. Anyway, I'll shut up now before I dig myself too deep. Our local police are a bit busy at the moment, says Lee Stevenson. I don't know where you are, so. Raging Modeler, what did you think of the new Orc miniature? I don't know, which one is it? I've not been keeping up. Do you mean the one with the... I don't know, which one? I don't know which one it is. Lost track. You mean the one riding the big squig thing, the snag, whatever they're called? I want to know why he's got a flat nose. He's got a very not very orc. He doesn't. He kind of looks a bit different. He looks like a not orc. He's got a sort of flattened nose, which is weird. I'm just curious if there's a reason for that. If it's just a different look to an orc, or if they're just changing the look of orcs going forward. I don't know. Because orcs tend to have noses not quite like that. It looks good though. I like that. I like the rider. I like the squig he's riding as well. Yeah, it looks pretty good. What are these, snags or something? Snag riders or something? I can't remember now. It does look good though. Ding. Yes, I'm fully aware of the irony of me just getting out this 3D printed Space Wolf's head after talking about intellectual property. Yeah. But it's not something you can actually do. You can't buy a pack of Fenris pattern helmets currently. So you do get one, single one, I think, on one of the upgrade sprues, but yeah. I live in Bristol. Oh, okay. Oh, well. Doesn't matter, still call the police. Otherwise, what happens if nothing happens to that guy? That's not right. The Squid Rider. Yes, yeah, that does look pretty good. I like that. I still don't get why he's got a squishy flat nose, though. It doesn't. There's probably a reason for it in lore, why he looks different to other... Right around, you idiot. Why he looks different to other... My words have just gone. Orcs, that's the word I was looking for. Jesus Christ, what am I thinking now? Brain, not working. Let's not use that. Let's use our scrapey tool. Where's my scrapey tool? There. There. I mean, if there is one line that needs some serious updating, it is Orcs. Orcs and Imperial Guard need a real refresh. And I don't mean Imperial Guard like the vehicles, although some of the vehicles are a bit old now, but the vehicles are fine. What really needs an upgrade, Orcs need an upgrade because all their figures are like 20 odd years old. And, you know, you look at some of the new Orc stuff, and it looks so much better than the old Orc stuff. And it's like, you really do need to upgrade all that. It needs an upgrade, it needs a refresh. And just some new vehicles, because if you look at like Astra Militarum, there's so many different vehicles, and you look at Orc, there's kind of nothing. There's only a handful of vehicles. There's the WAS Bomber jet. There's the Orc truck and battle wagon. There's a few little bits and bobs, but let's not talk about the Death Copter. We don't discuss that here. But yeah, there's not a lot of choices for Orcs. They need more. I mean, they've got the new vehicles that came out, and they're pretty good, but still need more. And Imperial Guard, yes, they've got a nice selection of vehicles, but what they really need is more dudes. Because if you want to build up some blob troops for Imperial Guard, I know they're just blob troops, but you've really only got Cadians. That's it. And it's the same dudes over and over again. It's like, I mean, you know, you've got Tempestus Scions as well. You've got them. You can vary it up a little bit, but they're not the same as bog standard run-of-the-mill Cadians. They're like super paratrooper types. But you know, you've got your Tempestus Prime. That's right, Tempestus Scions, and they've got exactly one vehicle, the Taurox Prime. I assume they can use other ones. So it's like, yeah, we do need some new Imperial Guard. Again, there's nothing wrong with the old Cadian designs. There's nice looking figures, and I do enjoy. If I need a quiet evening where I want to do something creative, but I can't be bothered painting, I've not got the mojo, but I want to just sometimes have the urge to build, I'll whip out some Cadians because they're so easy to build. So easy and not complicated. And they're kind of delightful to build. They've got the grumpy little faces. They look so grumpy. It's great. They look like Dave, you know, from Colin and Dave, Model Maker Dave. They look like Model Maker Dave when I talk about a Baneblade. When I tell him he should get a Baneblade and he goes all grumpy faced. They look like. But yeah, but imagine like a load of Nucadians. Oh, like we got refresh on this. We got Primaris Marines to go with normal Marines. So we've got these new looking Primaris Marines. Why don't we have a refresh of Imperial Guard with some funky new outfits, like funky new armor outfits? You know, you've got Tempestus Scions, and that was a start. Let's have some more. Let's have some more advanced armor for the Imperial Guard. Let's have them with some more detailed outfits. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. Mold lines. I'm paying attention to where this guy will go in the vehicle, because some of them you're not actually going to see. He appears to have a hole in his arse. I just said that, didn't I? Never mind. He's going to be away in the cockpit, so he's not going to be visible at close quarters, which means there's a certain amount of, not getting away with it, but a certain amount of leeway you've got with cleaning up mold lines. You don't have to be quite as industrious as you normally would be, because somebody can't pick him up and rotate him around and look at all these different angles. He's in the cockpit, so let's not worry about it too much. Now, these mold lines are actually really very faint and easy to scrape away, so I'm able to scrape them away with a knife and not mess them up, not mess up the plastic, which is nice. Anyway, yes, so we're going back to what we were talking about a moment ago. Yes, so a super glue arrived. I've had super glue delivered. I've had me Deathcore dude squad advancing, I think it is. Not squad. I've got squad firing. It's squad advancing, I think. There's a lot of them out of print at the minute. That's the only one they've got is squad advancing. You need to build up some Deathcore figures. So I've got that. I have received a mysterious package from our friend Paul over at Glue to the Sprue. Paul from Team Inept. I know one of the things in there. He sent me a jacket. Too small for him. I might quite like. But God knows what else is in the box. I dread to think what else he sent me. What else has turned up? I think that's it. I've not opened them. You're in quarantine at the minute. They'll be opened in the coming days. I've had to order a couple more of these. Because if you remember, I've normally got 3 of these and one of them snapped the other day. I had to go on eBay and find a couple for sale. I've got some more coming in. Because I need dangly things on my wrists. And these are nice because you never have to take them off. And they're not heavy. I've ordered a few more of them. And I have reordered. If you ever watch on any of my live streams where I'm on camera, like the E-Models thing, or when I'm doing stuff with Colin, we all have, or a lot of us have, the same, what we call the FBI man's earpiece. It's like a audio cable in the clear plastic tube that goes up the back of your neck and into your ear. Mine got a little bit squished. The wire got a little bit squished by the clip that I used to clip it to my t-shirt collar. So I've ordered a replacement of those. And it's because it's one of these, like, it's cheap crap made in China somewhere. So the shipping date is, you can order this now. This is funny. The headphone itself costs, a handful of pounds. It's like £2 or £3, and it says you can order it now. What is the option? You have 2 shipping options. One costs you £1.75, and it will arrive at some point in the next calendar year. Or you can pay £45 for have it delivered in a couple of days. I'm like, I'm not paying £45 to have a £3 or £4 headphone delivered. I'll wait for it. It's not urgent. But yeah, that's coming from China somewhere, isn't it? It's one of these like made up brand name types. But it's only a few quid. And it does the job, so I need it for live streaming. Here's a handy tip for you. If any of you out there are thinking of getting into doing live streams, and I don't mean live streams like this, where it's just me talking to the microphone. Live streams where you're doing more than one person. So if you've got like a hangout going on in the old Google days, or if you're using Zoom or something, and you're doing that kind of thing where there's multiples of you, for the love of dog, every single person in that hangout, I'm going to call it a hangout. I know it's not a Google hangout, but it's easier just to call it a hangout. Everyone in that conference call or hangout, whatever you want to call it, must wear some sort of headset or earphones or something. Because if anybody's listening to the audio of everybody else through speakers, you get slapped back. That person's microphone picks up the speaker output, and then you get the echo, and that's where your echo comes from. So if I ever do get to the point where I have like open streams, like, you know, Chris does his evening with, where he lets, you know, patrons and stuff come and join in. If I ever do something like that, it will be mandatory that you have at least headphones or an earpiece. Nobody's sitting there on the laptop with no headphones in, so the microphone can pick up the laptops, but no. A lot of people don't really bother, but I would be very stringent and say, you're welcome to come and join, but you must wear headphones or an earpiece. Otherwise, we'll just kick you out, and you'll be given the finger of shame. Finger of shame. There's nothing worse. Because when you're doing a live stream, the worst thing you can do when you're doing a live stream with more than one person is to waste 5 or 10 minutes of the audience's time trying to sort out audio issues or something else. It's awful. It's not very professional, and it looks terrible. If I'm watching a live stream, I don't want to spend 10 minutes while they sort out the audio because somebody's got echo coming through. What's chat doing? Oh, he got away with it. Sadly, our local police couldn't do anything about it because they saw them as toys. Anyway, I don't have anything to do with that club anymore. Doesn't matter whether they're toys or not. It's still your property. Your police are clearly incompetent, and you should file a complaint. If somebody breaks some of my property of mine, it should be irrelevant what the property actually is. I would file a complaint. I would be like, no, I want to this person charged with criminal damage. He took my property, doesn't matter what it is, and he damaged it. Seriously, that's unacceptable. The guy's clearly needs to be just taken out around the back and shot, really. Don't condone that kind of... I'm joking, by the way. I mean, seriously, how that club could even have that person still around afterwards. If it was my club and a member did that, I'd be like, you're leaving now and you're not coming back. What I would do, though, is just go back for one day and just smash some of his stuff up. Just to get one of his models of equivalent value and say, oh, by the way, smash. There you go, now we're even. Yeah, no, don't do that. I don't condone that at all. I do, actually, but I don't. Yeah. It's made me angry now, that, actually. It's made me really angry, that kind of thing. Not acceptable at all. I did manage to repair it to the best of my ability, says Max. Yeah, so... Yeah, your local police are clearly idiots. Sounds like it was worth leaving anyway, says Lee, especially if people tolerated that behaviour. Yeah, just get out of there. I was thinking the same thing. I looked at them and immediately recognised most of the models from when I played 2nd edition, because Raging says that Eldar need an update as well. Max McGinn says also, that was a year ago. The club was shady. Some players were playing for keeps in 40k to newcomers. Yeah, no. I mean, I've never yet played a game. I never had a chance to play a game. But when I do, the one thing I don't want to get stuck in, and I know I won't do, but even if I got a little bit of experience, one of the golden tips for, you know, playing the game is if you're trying to show someone new how to play, you don't play your full-on, full-speed game, balls to the wall, let's crush them into the ground, because you're going to win and that person's going to have a horrible time and never want to play again. You always encourage people to play. Never put them off from playing. I never understand that mentality. There's always that guy. I mean, let's be honest, there is always that guy who will play for keeps no matter what. But then you just avoid them. They're just bullies. Usually idiots. But you'll never get away from that guy. That's the official name for that kind of person, that guy. I don't know if I'd actually want to join a club anyway. I think I'd just rather play with my friends. Unfortunately, none of my friends actually play, which is a bit of a pain. But I know some of you guys who don't live too far away. My first ever game, I suspect, will be with the Raging Bassist, sorry, Adam. Because he and I are both, not local, but both go to Goblin Gaming, who have gaming tables and that. So I suspect my first game, whenever it does happen, will be with Adam. When, of course, my Imperial Guard and Deathcore and Tempest Sands will completely kick the ass of his orcs all over the damn table, because I'll be the new guy and he'll have to let me win because of everything I've just said. He won't be able to give it his full bore gameplay style. He'll have to be nice to me. There's no mould on that hand. Very nice hand, that. Very nice. And the head, of course, is 3D printed, so I don't need to twiddle with that. Right, let's get him assemblated. Now I need to do a dry fit of his head once I've got the frame that goes around him on, because I need to make sure I can still fit everything else around him that goes into the cockpit while he's got the funny head on. Let's have a look. Lee Stevenson, hopefully not on the Ever Given. That's how I had to think then, because at first I thought, is that like Archaon, the Ever Given? And I thought, no, it's the ship that's in the Suez Canal. Yeah. Play a fun game in 40k to slowly introduce the other person to the game. Exactly. Fox, I recently found some Games Workshop figures from about 25 years ago. I believe they are Empire, not 40k. Is there a Citadel paint set you would recommend getting for them? They are all metal figures. Without knowing what the figures are, you wouldn't know what colours to paint them. I don't know what Empire would be. That could be Sigmar. It could be Warhammer Fantasy. I don't know. I really wouldn't know. You paint them however you want. If you're not playing the game, just paint them however you want to, dude. I would say, if you're wanting to buy Citadel paints, I would personally recommend them if you're brush painting, because they are the best. But without knowing the specific figures and sitting down, it'd be impossible to say paint them with these colours, because you can just paint them however you want. And bearing in mind, of course, from that long ago, if you look at any official shots of those figures as they were, the paint jobs will be absolute garbage. They'll be old late 1990s heavy metal paint jobs, which don't really bear any relation to what we do now. I'd just say if you're not playing them, just go with it. Do make sure when you prime them though, because they're metal figures. Well, the first thing I would do is find out what they are for sure, and check if they're valuable. Because a lot of metal figures out of print are actually kind of worth a fair bit of money. My friend Tony, Helgen35, sent me some metal Imperial Guard that he had, which turned out to be Kassakin. Kassakin they're not in print anymore, they're metal figures. They're long out of print, but they're worth a fair bit. They're not worth nothing. And he sent me a squad of 10, so what I might do, because they are valuable, what I might do is paint them up and send them back to him. I don't know yet, but so I would say first thing to do is research them and find out exactly what they are, because there might be something that's worth an absolute fortune. There are some metal figures out there that would actually go for a bomb. I mean, literally, they would go for a fortune if they're really rare and really valuable. There are, like, for example, there is a Deathcore of Krieg Quartermaster figure. This is not metal, this is resin, but there's a Deathcore of Krieg Quartermaster. He's one single figure, and I think it was sold at one event, like one convention or something, or in one store. It was like a one-off figure for one time. Burpage. And I saw one on eBay the other day. Single figure. I don't even know if he's in the codex at all. A single figure, and he was selling for like 55 quid. That's for one single unassembled resin figure. So I would find out what they are, because they might be worth, if they're rare enough, it might be worth not even bothering painting them and just sell them. Raging Modeler, what Citadel colour would you recommend for the Viper Mark II? I'm feeling Ultra and Grey since it's very nice off grey. I wouldn't recommend brush painting it at all. And if you're talking airbrushing, a good colour for the Viper Mark II is actually, if you're spraying, forget Citadel paints. If you're spraying, a good colour for the Vipers is actually Star Wars white colour, like Millennium Falcon hull colour, X-Wing hull colour, because it's an off-white and it's perfect. I did my Vipers in the same off-white that I did my X-Wings and Falcons in, which is 4 parts Tamiya flat white and 1 part Tamiya deck tan. So literally, I mean, I do it by pots, 4 pots of white XF1 and 1 pot of deck tan, just so I guarantee I've got a 4-to-1 mix. That's that cream off white that I used on the Falcon, and it's perfect for Vipers because it's not white, but it's just off white, and you can do subtle weathering to it. So I would recommend, if you're doing it, don't brush paint it. Don't brush paint anything bigger than minis. It's never going to end well, but you can do, but it's not the best finish. You're going to airbrush it. Use the Falcon mix, 4 parts white to 1 part deck tan. And Tamiya, I can't confirm other paint brands because I've never done that mix with others that look the same. But I know for the Tamiya brand, those colours look absolutely spot on, perfect. Right, now I need to add some armage. Formularity. What else we got? When I was younger, the only Citadel miniatures were metal and I painted them in Humbrol enamel. Lol, says David Sanderson. Oh yeah, one other thing, if they are metal and they're not worth much and you decide to paint them, make sure to use a good primer that works on metals. So don't use Vallejo primer. I mean, don't use that anyway. Tamiya primer works perfectly on metals. It's for metals and plastics. You can use UMP primers as well if you're airbrushing. It'll probably be fine. But I would recommend, or the Citadel rattle cans, they're lacquers, so they should grip. But I would probably say, if you're painting metal figures, might be better to go with, say, Tamiya rattle can primer, to be absolutely sure. The Citadel ones will probably be fine, though, because they're lacquers. But Tamiyas are designed for metal and plastic. Empire, usually coloured... Mayhem says, Empire, usually coloured a la German Landsknecht Mercs, red, yellow, purple, yellow. Okay, I don't even know what Empire is, so I'm assuming it's Warhammer Fantasy. But there you go. Mayhem model works. Raging Modeler, we've done that one. Thanks for that, Fox. Sorry, it duplicated. My chat is playing up. It didn't duplicate here, dude, so you're fine. I need to eBay my Rogue Trader early 40k miniatures, says Raging Modeler. Yeah, that might be worth a fair bit. Max McGeehan. Change of subject. I've just finished painting my Chaos Lord in Black Legion. Just found a tray of 30 unpainted Tyranid gaunts, which I'm going to work on now. Yes. Because they're grunt troops and blob troops, you can paint them quickly and not worry about it. There is a brand that matched the old style GW paints, and Midwinter Minis has a load of video on painting the old style. The brand is Cote d'Armes, I think. I think it's Cote d'Armes. Which was a, oddly, Manchester-based, I think, paint company that used to make the Citadel paints, the old paints, until they moved it then to manufacture in China. And Cote d'Armes just carried on making the paints under their own name. I think it's Cote d'Armes. They are the old style paints, if you want to paint them in the old style. There's a certain look to the old style that's kind of endearing. But I have to say, when you go, the funniest thing, you go to Warhammer World, and of course in Warhammer World, what they have in all the cabinets, whenever they like make a model and paint it, the painting team do the paint job for the box art. Of course, that model's stored and it's kept in all the display cabinets. So when you go around the display cabinets at Warhammer World, you're actually going on a trip through time to look at all the models, not all, I mean, most of them, to look at all the models that you've seen on the box art over all the years. It's the same models. And the funny thing is, you look at some of the old models from the heavy metal days, the 80s and 90s, and it's like, oh dear God, what is that? It's like, oh, it's horrible. Some of them are horrible. There's like loads of sort of black vehicles that are the blackest of black with bright blue edge highlights. Oh, when everything was massively edge highlighted, it's like, oh dear Lord, I can't look at it. My eyes are offended just thinking about it. it is quite offensive. It is quite offensive to your eyes. It's like, oh, I can't look. I cannot look. What? Oh. But then this is the thing, right? And this is what gets me. And I don't understand this. I've said this before, but this is something that always really irks me. And some people see it as charming, but I see it as just frustrating. If you look at the old Games Workshop artwork, like if you watch videos from like looting or anything like that, where they use lots of Games Workshop artwork as the content in the videos, because it's really just an audio recording. And it's what always amuses me is that I've not put enough glue on that. What always amuses me is that the 1980s and chunk of the 1990s artwork, not the bills, but the actual artwork, the 2D artwork, was terrible. Absolutely awful. Like the layout, the composition, the actual drawing style, it was horribly drawn. It was like drawn by a teenager. And it really does look like it's been drawn by like a teenager, a school kid, trying to draw cool fantasy things or whatever they were. And it's like, wow. And I find myself thinking, because if you look at anything from the 80s, lots of things from the 80s have this look to them where they're just, doesn't really want to fit, where they're painted, they're drawn terribly. I'm not gluing this guy in, by the way. I'm just making sure that his little control sticks are lined up with the stuff inside the cockpit as best as possible. Yes, a lot of the artwork is like terribly drawn. The layout's terrible. Everybody's firing in random directions. The composition's awful. None of it makes any visual sense. You've got people looking sideways all the time, and everybody's got these stupid grimaces on. And it's like, and then I looked at other sort of similar stuff in the 1980s, and it's all the same. And I found myself thinking, like, if you look at, like, you know, video game box art from the 1980s, Games Workshop box art from the 1980s, all these kind of, and it's all terrible. And I find myself wondering, was it just the thing that in the 1980s no one could draw? Because everyone just seems to be completely incompetent at understanding how the human body looks when you draw it. I mean, just go and look at like Bomberman artwork or any like the Contra stuff, and just any of the old video games that, and it's like, was it really in the 80s that just no one was physically able to draw well? Is that what it was? Because look at the artwork now, and it's all beautiful artwork and various levels of realism painting, and everything's lovely done. It's beautifully composed, and everything looks real, and it's amazing. But back then, they just get the 18-year-old who's just left school and say, "We draw all our artwork for us." I can't look at it. It makes me angry. It makes me frustrated that these people were paid for many years to do all the artwork, and it's like they can't draw. Everybody's looking sideways, or the guns are always sideways, or the head's always pointing sideways, or there's always somebody looking right at the viewer, and they're always going, and I can't do it. Excuse me. I have in the past brush painted 1/350 scale ships with Humbrol enamels. Never again. That's because you used Humbrol enamels. The one thing you should do with Humbrol enamels is never use them. The only paints you should brush paint with are like, well, no, I'll retract that. You can brush paint with lots of different paints, but yeah, don't brush. But yeah, in Humbrol enamels, there's no use case for Humbrol enamel. There's not really a use case for any enamel paints other than weathering paints, really. How many for £1, Fox, says Festa? Free for a pound. Thanks, Coat Darn was what I was racking my brain to remember, says Lee Stevenson. Yeah, I think they're still around. I'm not sure. They were based in Manchester, and he made all the paints. Then they went to Vallejo and said, "Will you make the paints for us? This is Games Workshop." And Vallejo said, "Yep, here's a load of colours." And they went, "Actually, no, we're going to go for China. It's cheaper." Bye. So Vallejo said, "Okay, well, we'll just make these Game Colour then." And that's where Game Colour came from. That's why a lot of Game Colour colours are very similar to GW colours, because that's what they were for. Cheers, Fox. Had this kit for a year now and it really wants to get it done, says the Raging Modeler. Yeah, go watch my Falcon video. It's dead simple. Three. It's either 3. I forget now. It might be 4. It's either 4 to 1 or 3. I can never remember. But it's dead simple. But if you're doing it in pots, it's not exactly cheap, but you'll be fine. Just looked it up, and the coat d'arm are made by HMG Paints, who used to make the GW paints. There you go. I speak the truth. I don't lie. You always learn something on my streams. Not always something correct. I saw a picture of an airfix kit of a modern plane that appeared to be shooting down prop planes from World War II. Who thought that was good box art? Yeah. Yeah. My favourite box art of all time has to be, thinking about it now. I'm just letting this set for a minute. Thinking about it logically. If I was to pin it down, my favourite box art would have to be all the classic Tamiya white box art. And what I mean by white box is that when Tamiya started doing the 1/35th military miniatures at first, they had like beautiful paintings on with like scenery and landscape. After a while, that changed to what were called the white box artwork, which is just literally a white box with a painting of the thing, and that's it. No scenery, no landscape. And I remember as a young lad being very, very impressed by the paintings on the boxes. Is he going to come out? Not as a model maker, but as an actual artist, as somebody, because I was doing oil painting and drawing at the time, as somebody who did oil painting and drawing and all that kind of stuff. As an artist, I was very impressed by the technical prowess of their artists who painted the box art, because they were, and this was there's no computer art in those days. These were crisply painted, beautiful bits of artwork that looked absolutely fantastic. And yeah, they were outstanding. And they actually released a book many years later about, I think it was one artist, about the artist that did all that artwork. They released a book of that, and you can actually buy prints of it as well, which is great. And I can't remember his name. It's obviously a Japanese name. But yeah, Tamiya box art was always fantastic to me. Right, so that's where the roll cage goes. What I want to do is I want to make sure when that roll cage is on, it shouldn't be a problem, but I just do need to make sure that he's got his puppy head on, which actually looks more like a Khajiit, which is really weird. I need to make sure that this still fits over the, because he's got the sticky up ears, you see, and that's what his own helmet doesn't have. And that should be. I don't want to glue his head on and then suddenly find I can't fit the roll bar over him. That should be absolutely fine, I think. Well, that'll be absolutely fine. Now, I do, of course, have to super glue the head on because it's a resin print. So I shall put that there. I shall let him set for a bit longer with his handy pops. I shall get this thing glued together. I'm not going to glue the roll bar on, but I do need to assemble it so it fits, because it has side pieces. Where, Mr. Side Piece? Now it says here you actually are able to. Oh, you might be able to pivot this. Because at first I thought you just I'm liking. Oh, I didn't realise this. At first I thought you had to either have it glued open or closed, but no. You can have it on a. It could. Oh, excitement! You can actually have it openy closey. Oh, having a little bit of a engineering trouser tent moment here, I think now. So I didn't realise that. Ooh. I do like it when they engineer cool things. Now, of course, there's no guarantee it will actually work because this is Games Workshop. This isn't Bandai. They could just screw the pooch completely. So it needs to go like, how does it go? Like that? That goes. I see. That goes in. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Let's get the right pieces ready first. So this needs to go like. Stop dropping it, you spoon. That goes like that. Okay, that makes sense. That goes like that. That would sit there. Be fiddly. We'll glue it on first, and then we'll figure it out later. We'll have to do it with the extra thin because it's going to be hard to actually glue with thick glue. That will sit like, okay, right. Let's try this. I'm going to use extra thin, which I wouldn't normally do for structural, but I need to be able to wiggle it round, and I need to be able to do this fast. Alison, do it right, which would help. That's there like that. Ideally. And this one here will go like the IQ test where you've got to match the shapes, isn't it? Yeah, that one goes like that, so we'll do the same again. Touch of glue. Apologies if this is on camera. I'm doing it in such a way that I can actually see what the hell I'm doing. There like that. Doing this in exactly the wrong way. Locate home. Touch of glue. Touch of glue. Now, what we need to do is make sure it all sits snug on the superstructure. I slot that in there. And that, like a glove. What I can do is just reinforce that a little bit. I'm not gluing the frame in place. I'm just making sure, because it's not a key and hole situation here. It's literally, it just sits in about the right position. And it's kind of quite nice, and it goes in, but it locks in place, but not firmly. So if I just put it in situ like that, and then leave that to dry for a minute, then when I take it out again, these side pieces, I need to make sure they're both at the right angle, because they flex out sideways. I need to make sure they're lining up with the little sockets that they need to go in, because they mount into little sockets, which is quite cool. So let's leave that for a minute. Yes, I enjoyed doing that. That was a moment of good GW. That was almost Bandai level quality, but they'd have pegs and hinges and stuff. That white box style has become one of Tamiya's iconic trademarks. It has. Darren Edmonds says, hello everyone, welcome Darren. Favourite box art, Revel Swap Bloke. Oh yeah. Yeah, that has a certain effect on me, let's just say it that way. It does invoke a strong response, let's just say that. But yeah, if you look at that classic Tamiya box art, which is pre-digital artwork, it's all hand painted. I mean, look at some of the vehicles. If you look at the figures in the artwork, you can see they're painted. They look painterly, but they're beautifully done. If you look at the vehicles, you can marvel at the smooth transitions that they've painted in it. Like the tracks, if you look at a tank kit, look at the tracks. Some poor bugger had to paint those. I mean, literally draw them out and work out and get them in perspective. The perspective is always perfect. And whether they paint them in oils, I suspect it's acrylics, which is even more impressive, because acrylics dry really fast on the canvas. Oils don't, so they are just supremely beautifully painted artwork. And you'll see it now, people do copy that style a lot. It's kind of a massively copied style. Especially, smaller companies that are up and coming and want to impress, like ICM, do very Tamiya-esque. They do scenery on them though as well, but ICM do a lot of Tamiya-esque paintings. I think, who else does them? There's another one that does very Tamiya-esque box art. Nobody quite comes as close. And I remember when I was teaching myself how to draw and paint and that, one of the things I did was look at Tamiya box art, because I used to look at the paintings and try and figure out how they'd done it. So, for example, I look at a painting of a vehicle, I'd look at the tyre on the vehicle, and I'd try and break down by just simply looking at the colours which part I need next. E8. How they'd painted the tyre. Did they do it as a light grey colour and have the black over the top? As best I could figure out by looking at the artwork. And sometimes it was like, well, they clearly painted the entire shape of the tyre grey and then added the black areas for the rim, the recesses and the grips. What the hell is this part number? E8. Helping me. E8. There it is. And you could sort of look at it and try and figure out as best you could how that painting had been done. Beautiful. So yeah, Tamiya box art, my absolute all-time favourite. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close at all. And you can actually buy prints of it, like massive prints. I would happily, if I had that money, I'd happily buy reprints of Tamiya box art. And that's the other thing that sets Tamiya apart. Apart from the fact they kind of started the whole 1/35th scale thing. If you look at the figures in Tamiya now, it's not so much today when you've got companies like Ryfield and Dragon and so on doing fantastic work, but go back, I don't know, 10 years, just 10 years, and you would get a vehicle like a tank or a truck or something like a military vehicle, and you'd get figures with it, and you would guarantee Revell kits wouldn't have a figure with it, or if it did, they'd look like they'd been spoon-fed thalidomide for like first 20 years of their life. Or Italeri, who just, again, like Revell, have no concept of what the human body actually looks like. They look terrible. But Tamiya, somehow, their figures, they always looked fantastic, and they always had personality. They were never just generic dude. It was like every face had a story to tell, and oddly, a lot of the German troop, well, a lot of them always like looked happy or smiling, which is really weird. Careful now with this. A lot of them looked kind of happy and smiley, which was weird at the time, but you know, like the coupe, you know, you get, I don't know if it's the Kubelwagen has one, but you get some vehicles where the driver of the vehicle has like a sort of smile on his face, or they're all doing something. And the weird thing is as well, if you were to present me with, this is the beauty of Tamiya's sculptors, because keep in mind these were all hand sculpted at the time. Be very careful, I don't want to get glue in the actual hinge here. If you were to hand me Tamiya head, 1/35th head from a figure, and not tell me anything about it and just say, you know, what is that? I could probably tell you whether that figure that goes with the head was Ally or Axis, because I don't know how they did it, and I can't really quantify it, but there was a certain look to the faces that meant you could tell the difference between, say, a British soldier and a German soldier. The German soldiers, the German troops they designed had a certain look to the face that just made them look Germanic. They had that kind of, the British ones looked like, you know, cheeky, chappy Tommies, and the Germans kind of looked like, it was kind of weird. There's a certain, it's not really true, but you know, sometimes you can tell when someone say is German and not British or French or whatever. There's a certain look to say the French and the Germans that it's not always the case, but it's, you know, generic looking. But you could kind of tell when they were painting German figures because you could tell by the face. It was weird, but it's true. Right, there you go. Look at that. Oh, I didn't realise that was an actual hinge job. That is mesmetronic. And luckily I can still, I've glued it in place now, but I should have probably actually regret that. But I can still get to everything, although it's going to annoy the backside off me. In fact, no, you're not going to do. I'm not going to do that. Let's take this back off again. Because it's only loosely glued in for now, and I can fix it again later. I'm going to take that back off again because no loss. I can glue that back on in a bit. I want to be able to take that off and paint it. I want to be able to get into here uninterrupted. And if that thing's closing all the time, it's going to bug me senseless. But that is perfect. That is on there. That plate can be re-glued over the top, no problemo. Liking the fact that actually hinges now. That's really good. So what we need to do now is just double check he's still got his arms in the right place. Yeah. I want to leave him for a little bit because I want to super glue the head on, but I don't want to affect the glue in here that's still squishy with any like fixing spray. So let's just put that there. What's next? I'll put this in the tin of small holding pieces. Yeah, so there's something, it's hard to quantify, but there's something that just made the German figures, the faces on German figures look like Germans. It was, I don't mean like by the hat and stuff, I mean by the face. Academy do a white box style, says Chaos. Panzer Koenigsegg, welcome Panzer. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. German figures always had square jaws, says David, or chins. Yeah, and they had the kind of a kind of Roman nose, not quite a Roman nose, but they had like a pronounced nose and very square brows. Whereas the Tommies, the English soldiers, were always a bit more lumpen faced. It's great. The Americans were just kind of generic. But yeah, there was something to be said. You could kind of tell. And that's just the quality of Tamiya for you. Which is why we always say, when people say, you know, I want to get into the models, what should I start? Well, the first thing we always say is, what do you have an interest in? If you're interested in ships, don't try building a tank or a plane. But when people say, I want to get into tanks and stuff, where should I start? We always say, start with the Tamiya. 21 and 22. And the reason you should do that, if you want to get into armour, vehicles and tanks like World War II stuff, or even modern, start with Tamiya. Always start with Tamiya. Because when you first start out, if you want to get into a particular genre of model making, you don't want to go out and buy the 500 quid RMS Titanic in 200 scale and then decide you don't like ships, because that would kind of suck. What you want to do, E37, is go for something cheap and cheerful that can be your introduction into that particular genre of modelling. Now, the caveat there is, of course, if you decide, I want to get into X, I'll go cheap and cheerful and I'll buy this £10 Revell or Italeri kit, you're going to have a bad time, you're going to hate it, and you're going to think that particular genre of modelling is not for you. That's a bad move. That's like saying, I want to learn how to ride a bike, I'm going to buy this knackered old butcher's bike from 1958 that's falling apart and got square wheels. Yeah, you're not going to learn how to ride a bike very well, or not have a good time. So, if you just want to start, you say, I want to get into tanks, get yourself a Tamiya tank. Get one of the cheaper ones. Because, A, they're nice and simple and straightforward. They're not complicated. They are beautifully manufactured. And the big selling point is that even the kits from the 70s and early 80s from Tamiya, the ones that are like, you go and get your Panzer IV and it's like 12 quid. That's because it's like from 1976 or something. I'm making that figure up, but you know, you get the idea. And it's quite simple compared to modern standards. But once you've built it and painted it, you've still got an awesome looking tank. Because the detail, even for then, for a kit that was made in the 70s, hang on, let me just check something on my computer. Something's making the fan whiz. I don't know what that is, but I know what I do need to do is second. Just, I know the camera's wobbling, but that's because I'm typing on things. 1 sec. Technical things that I didn't need to explain to anybody. Double check we've not got antivirus doing its updates. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's just a computer doing something. I don't need to have that. Yeah, so even like a 40-year-old Panzer IV or Sherman or something from, like, you know, 1976, by today's standards, it's not a complicated build, but it still looks a lot better than a lot of the other stuff out there that's modern. And the quality, aside from the rubbery tracks, the quality of that 40-year-old kit, in a lot of cases, blows the pants off modern stuff for some manufacturers. Like, I can guarantee you that a Tamiya kit from 1975, which is what, 45 years old, tank kit, would probably be a better build experience and a better kit than a Revell tank of the same size and scale bought out last year. Because they're just that good, the old Tamiya tanks. They're that good. And not just tanks, but all the sort of the military miniature range that they started in the 70s. If you ever want to get into that, start with the Tamiya. You can always work your way up once you're happy with the genre that you know you like it. You can work your way up to your Rifles and your Dragons and your Tacoms and all that kind of stuff. Start with the Tamiya. It's dirt cheap. It'll be a fun build. Great for younger builders as well, because they're not that complicated. Great fun. Good for younger builders. And you'll have a good looking model at the end of it. And the figures that come with them, like I said, Tamiya kits, the figures that come with them, in a lot of cases, again, are far superior to the figures that come with some modern kits. Again, I'm looking at Revell and Italeri, who have no concept of what the human body actually looks like. Now, to Revell's credit, to be fair, often when you do buy a kit of a vehicle of some sort, they don't bother putting figures in it because they know they can't do figures. So, yeah. Can't beat a Tamiya kit. So many of us, and you know who you are in chat, but so many of us grew up building Tamiya kits when we were kids. You know, we all started off, any of us who are my age, we all started off doing Airfix in the 70s because that's all we could get. But then we started seeing Tamiya kits over here, or when you went from going from your little kind of plastic kits that they sold in the newsagent round the corner, and you moved away from that to an actual model shop, and you suddenly saw all these other kits that you'd never heard of, Tamiya and all that kind of stuff. We all went through that phase. Most of us anyway. Especially in this country. Anyone who was a kid in the 70s and 80s probably went through the same sort of process. Because we all kind of had the same environment. We all grew up with the same supply chain. We all started off with the little kits, the Airfix kits you get from the corner shop. And then gradually moved to when you got old enough to go into whatever your local town or village is where they had a model shop. Or, you know, when you went with your mum and dad, or when you was like, because I actually remember the first time I went to my local town by myself on the bus and everything. I remember it vividly in certain ways. That I remember, because I've been, you know, I'm not going to say where. I've been to town before with my dad, with my mum and stuff, but I've never been on my own, never been on the bus by myself. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old. This is like, what, 1979, 1980. I said, right, I'm going to go to town. I'm going to go into the model shop. Because I've been with my dad to the model shop a few times, and that's where I used to go. But I had to go with my dad. I was too young. And Dad, can we go to the model shop? And I had my spends, saved up my spends. I used to get, I don't know how much was on then, but I know I need to scratch my back again. I remember being, at one part was on 2p a week spends, then it was 20p a week, then it was 50p a week, then it was £1 a week, and then it was £5 a week as I got older. Then it was £10 a week, and I think by the time I stopped getting spends, it was like 20 quid a week when I was like a teenager. I think it was like 20 quid. No, it might have been 10 a week, something like that. Dad, have me spends. But I'd saved up my spends because I was far too lazy to do a paper round. That was my only source of income. Didn't do paper rounds. I said, right, I'm going. Can I go into town and go to the model shop? Yeah, well, I'll get ready. So my dad was like, I'll just finish it. I said, no, can I go by myself? And they're like, oh, okay. Are you sure? I said, yeah. You know which bus to get? You know, yeah, I know where I'm going. Okay. I remember. I don't remember too much. I remember sitting on the top deck out of the front, double decker, and watching the world go by with great excitement. I was on my way. Let me clear my throat 1 sec. I was on my way and I was on my own on the bus and everything. I had money in my pocket, and I remember it was the summer because I remember walking back down the street from the bus stop, and Mama Fox was in the front garden doing some sort of putzing in the front garden. I said, look, I'm back. I didn't get killed. I'm not dead. And it's amazing. And I'm dead brave. I don't remember what I bought. Probably some tat. That was it then. That was when that was my coming of age, that I actually managed to go on the bus myself to town. And that was to go to a model shop. And that was probably not that long after I'd actually started visiting that model shop, because up until that point, it was just literally whatever my local corner shop or post office. We had a little post office around the corner. Whatever little crappy Airfix kits they had available. You know, I'd never even heard of Revell or Tamiya or anything like that. Yeah, that's I remember that. I remember it being a summer day and Mama Fox was in the garden doing something. I think also there was some scaffolding on the front of the house because I think Dad was painting the window frames or something like that. And of course, being the 70s, he was there with like his shirt off because it was warm summer, Indian summer, shirt off but flared jeans and a kind of breaker in one hand and a paintbrush in the other or something like that. Probably not, but yeah. Bag in his mouth. Yeah, great. Oh, there gives me monetization. They'll trigger that word now, and I'll have to say no, it's not a swear word. But yeah, fond memories. Remember that. Getting on that bus. What was chat doing? Let's have a look. Is Fox digging himself into a nationality stereotype hole there, says Darren. No, not at all. It's just it's not saying that's what people look like. It's saying that's what Tamiya figures look like. Tamiya figured Germans always have a certain look to them. The British have a certain look to them. The Americans have a certain, and you can tell which is which. I'm not saying that's what the actual people look like. I meant, like, I can tell you if that Tamiya figure is German or British. Just by the face, not by the uniform or anything else. The Russian ones are more tricky. There's a few Russian, like, they do like T-62s and stuff. The Russian ones are more tricky because they're kind of in between the two. They're kind of half and half between German and British. And the Americans are kind of just, kind of, I don't know, a bit British, but not quite. But yeah, the British and Germans, you can certainly tell them apart. Germans had a flinty stone look, and Brits had a Barney Rubble look. I would agree with Fox as Panzer. The Tamiya Panzer IV Aus D is an excellent starting point for 1/35th tank modelling and at a good price. Yeah, because some of the old kits now, because they are like, 40, 45 years old. Let's not forget, when they were making Star Wars, a lot of the kit bashing they were doing was things like Tamiya's Panzer IV and King Tiger and things. There's a lot of Tamiya kit parts in the Industrial Light and Magic library of bits. So, some of those kits, even by today's standards, then they're not complicated. They're quite simple. They've got limited part counts, but the detail is there. And given the fact they're 40, 45 years old, the tooling's still quite nice. And they're not expensive. They're like 10, 15 quid, maybe 20 quid at most. So what we're saying is basically, if you want to get into, say, tanks or military vehicles, before you go out and spend 60 or 70 quid on a Riffield Panzer Mark IV Aus D, maybe Aus G, maybe go and get the Tamiya 1/35th version first and just try it. See if you like that genre. You might decide that you don't like tanks. Of course, then you will get the massive culture shock when you make your Tamiya tank with its rubber tracks, and you're like, no tanks now, I can go and get this Riffield, and you suddenly realise you've got individual link tracks, and you're like, what the living hell is that? Yeah, I've never quite picked up the nerve to do individual link tracks, not yet. Not quite that brave. This bit here, I want to be careful with this piece because it's roundulated. I want to sand the edge away. I'm going to carefully sand it with the sanding sponge. Am I even on camera? I've got no idea. Gentle with this one. It's got like a circular piece, and it's also got a bit of a sort of chamfered edge to it, and I don't want to destroy that and make a flat spot, because that would be rubbish. Where are we up to? I started doing Airfix 172nd planes and tanks and a few ships. 3/4 of all my armour kits are Tamiya. I love the kits, the price and quality is great. And don't forget, of course, if you do get a Tamiya kit and you're a more advanced builder, you can get a Tamiya kit and then buy third-party tracks and things like that. If I was to give you a Tamiya Panzer IV and a Riffield Panzer IV, the only real difference is the amount of greeble stuck on there and the little details like the add-on bits that look less moulded in on the Riffield. Also, the fact there's probably a full interior and they have proper link tracks. But you can still get a fantastic looking object at the end of a Tamiya kit. First ever kit was I lost it. First ever kit was an A4 Skyhawk Airfix 172nd. Chris is in from Gross Models. Hey, Chris. Kits in my local corner shop during the 70s, Airfix, Matchbox, Frog and Nova. We never had Frog and Nova, but Matchbox and Airfix we did. US Navy Vietnam era livery. Was this a story from 2019? I don't know. My first kit was an Airfix 172nd Spitfire. I got it from the only model placed near us, Beatty's Models. I remember walking around with a sense of, looking at all of the kits. There's a scale model chaos. Timothy Colaco's in. Timothy, welcome. He says, my first model kit was a UH-1 Huey. I made a mess of it. Trust me, 99% of people that make a helicopter make a mess of it, because helicopters are evil kits. No one should ever be forced to make a helicopter kit. Not ever. Not ever. There's nothing good about helicopter kits. Nothing good that being melted down and turned into a tank or a car, or, a truck or something might fix. Now, we have a choice here. Big question. Big question. I'm thinking, planning forward about transporting these models. We have a couple of aerials. I don't like aerials on models because it makes sticking them in a transport case a pain in the arse. I have an option here. There is a potential to magnetize these. Excuse me, sorry about my throat. There's there. I'm potentially considering magnetization, you see. But I've got to be considerate of the fact that this armour goes around it. And if I get the magnet position wrong, I'm knackered and I can't get the aerial in. But there is an alternative. I could glue this. I know what I can do. I know what I can do. One thing I could do, and I do apologise for coffee. One thing I could do is snip that off. Put a magnet there. Put a magnet in here. That's one thing I could do. Or I could cut it there. Put a magnet here. Then I can still have this bit glued in there so it fits with the cowling. And the antenna just goes ka-tink in place. And I think that is going to be the easiest one to do. There's no fiddly lining up then. It doesn't really matter if I get it slightly wrong. So let's get all these things glued on. Oh, knocking the camera, sorry. Let's get these armour plates glued on. Can I paint things with the armour glued on? Yeah, no problem. Get this armour on first. Yeah, it's a glue. Clean everything up. Let's see some magneting today, yes. We're going to touch of glue there, and that's probably all you need really, but a touch of glue there. We'll hold that armour in place. You don't need a lot of extra thin. You really don't need a lot of extra thin at all. Glue stuff together. As long as you've got a good contact surface. Whoops, that's far too much glue, but nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever know. There we go. So that's more than enough for there. That's that armour glued on. What I need to do now is I need certain things. I need super glue. I need super glue, flashy, gluey, setty thing. And also I need magnet. Now, these are tiny, tiny magnets. Let's get some more of these. Not suitable for children. Could be fatal if swallowed. Read included warning sheet. Yes, I will read the sheet that's not included. I will need a cocking tail stick. Are you ready for swearing? Because there may possibly be swearing at this point. I need one other thing. It's a put that there. I will need. Bam, 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 bam. Hacking time. Colin's getting a bit of a trouser tent now. Colin, are you ready? Because I'm. Yes, it's time to do some cuttage. Look at the cutularte. So, yes, cutting time. What we'll do first, we shall take, what time are we on? We shall take our little aerial here. Now you've got this fat bit here and then this little bit there. What I'm going to do is monopolise on this little fat bit, cut it there, because it doesn't really matter if it looks, hello, powerful magnets. It doesn't really matter if it's not perfectly the same width and diameter. It's an aerial. It doesn't matter if it's cobbled together. It's fine. What I'm going to try and do is stick a couple of these into that gap where there's just plastic. So I shall stick them to the file just to keep them safe. We shall take our little piece of wood just to keep everything. I could do it at the bottom. That's actually slightly bigger. That might look better. Yeah. If I do it at the base of the aerial, it's a little more hidden because it's underneath. It's a little easier to deal with. It will look less obvious if the magnets are a bit of a funny shape or size. So, let me figure out how I'm going to do this. There's no easy way to line this up. There we go. Maybe. I need to get the saw there. Colin, are you ready? Doesn't have to be perfect or neat. So we've now got the base of the aerial and the aerial. It doesn't have to be perfect. Do the same on the other one. What I'll do, I'll get some... Get me a little cutty mat, my little squishy mat, because I'll need that just to put things on, stop them rolling away. So that can go there. Doesn't really matter if I get these mixed up, but we'll try and keep them together. We want to be together. We'll do the same again on this one. Don't really need to do the hacking thing, that was just more for comedy. Do the same again there. I'll put that sort over there. So what we've got now is aerial and base, aerial and base. So I need to clean them up, obviously, because they're not exactly 100% flat. I've got a slight angle to one of them. That's where the file can come in. So we'll very quickly, magnets there, very quickly just file these flat. It's very important that these edges are completely flat. So we'll get the knife first of all, and we'll just trim off. Because the chances are when you saw something, you're not going to get perfectly 90-degree angle. Now I've got to get my head in shot now while I try and do this. So let me try and slice that off there. Almost. Hard to do this actually on camera. Get rid of the excess, then we can file it flat. And look at the edge. We're basically just trimming away that bit between the two chunks of the aerial. I want it to be as flat as possible so that when I glue the magnets on I don't get a wonky aerial that goes sideways, because that would look a bit weird. It's probably going to happen. We probably are going to do it with a wonky aerial. I mean, let's not mince words, Bones. Despite using nice metal files, it's still going to come out wonky because it's me doing it. Of course it's going to come out wonky. Has Colin recovered yet from me doing actual sawage? Was Colin even watching? Don't know. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was. Colin will be muttering, "That's not sawing and hacking." Yes. I bet Colin's not watching. That's why we've had no comment from him. Honestly, when I do these things to impress him, and he's not here. And when he is here, I just glue stuff together. We'll get this flat as well if we can. Somebody text Colin and tell him he's missed hardcore action sawing. Dad, will you just text him and just tell him he's missed out? Right, so that's reasonably flat again. So there we go, that one. Same with this. We need to make sure this is flat. Now I'm using a sanding sponge, which you don't normally recommend when you're trying to get a nice flat level surface, but it's only to get rid of the fluffy bits around the edge. I'm still using the metal file to actually do the sanding. Now this has got an angle to it, so I need to make sure this is flat. We're going to get that flat. Rotate it round so I can make sure I get it flat in every direction. It's not going to be perfect. I will end up with an angle, a dangle, trust me. As long as it's not too bad. The difficulty when you're doing like a file, any kind of handheld sanding, you're never going to get it 100% 90 degrees either way. That's the wrong one, you fool. Where's that gone? You do the right one, I suppose, doesn't it? There is a slight angle to it. This isn't exactly flat. This may end terribly. I'm not guaranteeing this will look fantastic when it's done. If I'm doing it, it's guaranteed to look absolute ass. Because that is the order of things. It is how the fox do. But it'll probably look passable enough. And if it's a little bit wonky, it's a little bit wonky. It's not the end of the world. Na 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 na. Da, 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 da. Not so bad. So, now we have the tricky bit. Why don't you use a guitar string for an aerial fox? Because I don't have a guitar string. Is the simple answer. Right, so we've got the magnets. How do they work? We need a lid and tissue. And tissue, bless you. Bless you, my child. So first thing first, we need the sticularity. Big dot of that. Then you know the technique by now. John Byers taught us all. Wipe it off, knock it on the desk. Hang on. Get the excess, wick it off after a few moments. Hopefully. I was about to blow on it then, but that's the worst thing you can do with super glue. That will then clear up, and the glue is now a nice clear nozzle that's not going to bung up. I'll give it a quick zizz with a cocktail stick. Make sure it's fully ungunked. This is how you make sure you don't end up with a gunked up nozzle. The ladies don't like a gunked up nozzle. It never ends well. So we'll put the lid back on. We need. So this is where you have to do a little bit of thinky now. And this is where you've got to line things up, and you never line them up right, and it always looks a little bit wonky, but it doesn't really matter. It's a plastic army, man. It's not the end of the world. So what we want to do is take a small number of the magnets. How do they work? And take a tiny touch of the glue. Maybe easier here is to mount this in some glue tack, I think. And then drop it. That's the first step. Don't want to be holding two things, I can avoid it. And a tiny touch of glue on the bottom of the magnet. Little. Let's not do that. Tiny touch of glue on the bottom of the magnet. Just to start it off. And then, quite simply, best you can, center it, line it up. I know you can't see this, but I've got to do it where I can see it. Get that on there. It's not quite centered. Center it, line it up. Get some tweezers. Grab that. And then hit it with some kicker. On. Kicker dry for a minute. And the reason you do several magnets on there to start with is A, it's easier to hold the magnets. You try holding one magnet and not giving the whole damn thing covered in glue. One, it's easier to hold the magnet. But two, it means that when you come to glue the other magnet to it, you get it the right way around. So, flash off the zip kicker now. Put that there. We'll drop it. Put that there. Make sure it's lined up. What we can do is that should now be firm enough that I can pull off the rest of the magnets. Maybe just leave one behind. Right. And leave behind there. Over there. Now this is where it gets tricky, because I can't get glue between those two magnets now, otherwise I end up with just an extra bit of aerial and not an extra bit of anything else. So what I need to do is get a bit of glue, touch it on the end of the magnet. I hope it's enough. And then, best I can, again, try and line stuff up. Now it's going to look a little weird because it's an extra bit of aerial that wasn't there before. It was some kicker. And it's also not quite straight, but it is actually quite wonky, but never mind. We can make it look like rubber so it's wibbly wobbly. There you go, that'll do. That's not quite straight. It may look a bit garbage actually, but let's find out. Luckily it does actually go sideways, so when it's on there, well, it's fine. It'll do. I just need to let that set for a minute. Yeah, the disadvantage of doing this is, yeah, you have to make sure they're lined up, and if they're not, they do look a bit wibbly wobbly. It's not the end of the world. That one, I'm just double checking what this looks like now. We might get away with this one. Same again. A few of the magnets. The reason you don't want a lot of magnets is because if you get a lot of them, you glue them on, the glue doesn't stick straight away, and if you put them there and take your hand off, it'll just fall off. So you want a few of them just so you can grip onto the thing, but at the same time not so many that it falls off instantly and rolls off across your desk. Same again, touch of glue. Not a lot, just a little tiny amount. You put too much on, what happens is when you squish it down onto the piece, you risk it splurging glue out and going up into the magnet above it. And that's what you don't want. Oh, bums, it wasn't glue tacked in well enough. Okay, so I don't know which end's got the glue on now. That one. So we'll take that one away. We'll take those magnets away for a bit because they've got glue all over them. Start the process again. The glue, the dot. And of course, I'm only doing a tiny amount of glue here, so it's not going to be the strongest bond in the world. But you're not going to really need to take this on and off very often. The way I do things, I'll never have to take it off because it'll go into the transport box and they never get used. Probably. Because I'll never get around to painting again. Now that's going to be quite wibbly wobbly, I think. It's got a right angle to it. Take those off. That's going to have a right angle to it, that one. Yeah, we can make it. What I can do later on, you see, is if I wanted to, I could be cunning and wrap some easy line around the bottom magnet, so that, and the top magnet separately, so it looks like, say, rubber housing. So if it's not at a straight angle, it looks like it's just this bit is like rubber housing and it's a spring perhaps, and it's just bent a little bit, which is a good way of getting around the fact that I've not made it exactly 90 degrees and it's not quite straight. You remember, it's all about your imagination. That's the only thing that matters. All about imagination. No right and wrong. There's no good and bad. It's just imagination. There's another one done. And while I'm here, I shall apply the head of wolfiness to the young fellow here. I think we should have him looking sideways a bit. I like it when people don't look. Super glue on my iPad now. Off the iPad screen. I don't like it when people just look straight ahead. That's really boring. We'll just put a touch of glue on there. Now this is 3D printer resin, so I can't just use Tamiya extra thin, I don't think. So we'll use a generous dod of the glue. Get the head in. Give him a jaunty head angle, which is already glued in place. I've got no choice. That's the way it is. Yeah. Blast of the kicker. That's the one downside of super glue that I don't like using super glue, if I can avoid it. A lot of times, the moment you put the two things together, that's it. You're locked. You're in lockstep. You can't move the things anymore now. Some super glues take a little longer to set or go sticky or lock, but sometimes it's like, I'm going to put it there and it's locked. That's it. That's the pose you're going to get. So we shall see. Yeah, that went quite well. Let's put these away. Super glue away. Him dry for a minute. So that's that. Have a quick look at chat while those are curing. I need more super glue, says Timothy. Oh, hello, matron. Oh, that tasted like that had a. It wasn't a non-flavour. It had a flavour, but I can't quite place it. It wasn't fully pleasant, but I can't quite figure out what it was. Wasn't quite KFC. Put the magnets away. The thin lengths of plastic used to attach price tags on clothes make great aerials, plus they're flexible, says Sarah Jane. That's a good idea. I have in the past. I have used things like a filament from a yard brush. They're also really good. Just go and find your sweeping brush and pluck a hair out. They make good aerials. All a lot easier than stretching sprue. The reason I like to use these, though, there's two reasons I like to do the in-house aerials. One is when I put it in my transport case so I can play it, I can pop that on and off. It's never going to get broken or snapped off. Little filament ones, you can snap them off in storage. If I've got an aerial that long, whether it's wibbly wobbly, flexible, whatever, plastic or something else, I've still got to jam it into my transport box, and the chances is it might get damaged. This, at least, I can just pop it off. But the other thing is, the same argument, if I ever sell this, I need to send it to the person without anything breaking. And even if I've got like guitar string or something else, there's always the chance it could ping off. So I like to just use the in-house stuff. At least I can magnetize it. What we shall do now is we'll get them glued on the side. Glue it on the side. Nice bit of glue on the side. I can just do that. Put it in there. And you can just that with glue, I think, is the easiest way to do it. So they're not going to be massively straight, but they'll be fine. It's just me making silly spacemen. Admittedly, in a reality, I probably would like to have spent longer getting it looking straighter, but yeah, I'll live. I'm on a live stream. I haven't got exactly a whole bunch of options to play with. So that's on there. It doesn't look too bad. Looks acceptable. I can, of course, rotate it around so it angles at different angles. We'll figure it out. Like I say, I can wrap glue on it there. I can wrap some easy line around the bottom magnet to make it look like kind of rubber housing of some sort, which is one way around that one. And I glued the wrong one on the wrong side, but I don't really care. It's made up nonsense. This one, we shall glue on there. Touch of glue there, touch of glue. Just to get it to run into the gap. That one goes on that side. Now, the thing is now, though, of course, I can't swap these over. Oh, I can swap them over. Can I? No, I can't. That one goes on there. That. Oh. Magnets come off. What? Oh, the magnet stayed on. Oh. Wasn't enough glue on it. Right, let's get the CA glue back out again. Oh. Spilled coffee on it. You know. Ratings that. It does do that sometimes. I need to just learn to leave stuff alone for 10 minutes. Not fiddle with it like a chump. More glue. Should have left that dot of glue there, shouldn't I, really? More tissue. Oh. More knocking. Come in. Honestly, they keep knocking the doorbell. They never come in. Let's get the excess glue off the nozzle. Let the nozzle clear. Gentlemen, clear your nozzles. We try that again, once again with feeling. Yeah, for some reason, bizarrely, it must be a capillary reaction when you do use the glue. When you knock it the first time, sometimes the glue does just keep coming out like a super polymer. Bizarre fluid mechanics going on there. There we go, it's clear now. Give that a second. Just clean it out with the stick. Completely clear. Lid back on. Because of course CA glue dries with exposure to, I think, carbon dioxide. I think. We need to put a touch of glue on there. Tiniest touch of glue. We'll get the kicker out again because we'll need that. Although I can't use the kicker, actually. I can't use the kicker because I don't want to. I don't know what effect it would have on the extra thin. Bit of glue on there. And we'll stick the serial back on again. I hope that holds. It's not going to be lined up perfectly, but it'll look okay. And what I can do later on is, if I really want to lock these in place firmly, is just run some very thin extra thin super glue just around the magnets on each side. Make sure they're completely locked in. That one. But what I might do, like I say, is I might wrap some easy line around there, and it'll just kind of look like a rubbery expansion joint, I suppose, which would then give you a bit more leeway for them. I mean, look at that. You can see that one's straight and that one's not straight, but there's nothing stopping me snapping that off and reworking this aerial a bit. Could do that. Possibly. A bit of a difference, isn't it? Yeah. I make these mistakes so you don't have to. I make these mistakes so you can have a laugh at my expense. That one's spot on. That one's perfect. Let's have a think. How can we do with that? We need it to be like there. What I need to do is put an angle into that aerial there. See what we can do. Not a problem. We can snap that off because it's only super glue. We can do a little bit of filey. A little bit of filey. Where's me if I can find my file? Yeah, it's the file. I've gone find the file now. It's gone. Paste. Where's my file? I had a file. I put it in a place, and the place I put it was put the blade away. Seriously, where's the file gone? What I can do is I'm gonna do it off camera because it's just out to the side, but I can see the culprit. There we go. Bit of a chamfer into it. And that way, glue it on. It might look a bit more straighter. I'm kind of correcting it by adding the extra angle, which is not really the right way to do it, but it's, you know, it's a bodge job. It's fine. That might look a bit better. Might still look perfect, but it will look better. Let's put this magnet there. Perfect. Bit of glue on there. The beauty is, of course, it doesn't leave any mess on the magnet because that's not how super glue works. There. Right around. There. Can't give it a blast with the stuff. There you go. We've artificially fixed it a little bit so that it looks straight now. Ideally, you probably do a lot more testing before you did all the gluing to make sure it was straight, but it really make much difference. I want to make sure I've not glued both magnets together. There we go, perfect. I can't hit them. I can hit that one with kicker, I think. I can hit that with kicker. And I think now I can hit this one with kicker just to make sure. Now the chances are, they're only little tiny magnets and it's only a little tiny amount of CA glue. The chances, very good chances are that it's more than likely that at some point with continued removal and putting it back on again, those magnets will pop off. But the beauty is it's CA glue. I can just clean the mess away and stick another magnet on there. So, all gravy. Glad I fixed that though. Because it didn't look so bad, that wonk, until I actually put the other aerial with it. And I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty bad. That's a bit too much wonk there, I think. And I found 2 magnets I need to put back in the bag. There you go, a little bit of magnety nonsense. But yes, oh, boss, don't want to do that. I like to use magnets just because on the off chance I ever need to sell stuff, I need to make sure I can pack it as easily as possible. Because when I'm selling something, if I've got something that I can break down into a smaller thing, it makes shipping cheaper. If I've got lots of aerials and sticky out antennas and stuff that I have to then account for in the packing, it can make my shipping box twice as big, and that can put my shipping cost up. So I always kind of think ahead like that. Because it may well be that I build all this stuff and then realise I'm never going to get to play and think, well, I'll just sell them. Or I might be like, I need the money, I'll just sell them. Because I can't be precious about my builds. At some point, they may have to get solded. There we go, that's them. Now, I don't think they'll be swappable or roundable. No, those two are opposite ends. Hair on my finger. So I've got them the wrong way around. I've got the big one on that side, which has to go a certain... It still wonks forward if you turn it around the wrong way. Yeah. Still, but if I turn it around the other way, suddenly it's straight. There you go. It's fine. Nobody will ever know. Who will ever know? No one will ever know. I certainly won't tell anyone. There you go. Spot on. Shut up. Swig of coffee and look at chat. We're up to... For basic antennas, it's great, but for Soviet and the newer stepped antenna, I'd have restored it to using turned brass aftermarket products. George Gabriel's in. Hey, George. How you doing, my friend? Welcome, buddy. Big hugs. George, of course, is also one of your mods, so don't cross him or he will feed you to the birds, then kill the birds, put them in a pie, launch the pie into the heart of the sun, if you cross him. What about fishing line, says David Sanderson. That's that'll just flop down. A bristle from a yard brush would be perfect. Like I say, guitar string or something, but I need to consider it can't get to the... If I ever sell it, it can't get there broken and it can't get there in a massive box. So, yes. No. David Sanderson actually says the word girth in a comment, and I don't know how I feel about that. Philip Bucks in. Hi, guys and gals. Hope you're all well. Thank you very much. Welcome, Philip. Just make sure to never cut a guitar string with nippers that aren't specifically made for cutting steel. Yeah. Are your burps spontaneous, or do you save them up for live streaming, says Darren. Oh, no, they're just absolutely spontaneous. They are. They're like dad farts. They just appear. I prefer not to retell my experience involving an expensive pair of Swiss-made nippers and material it was not designed to cut. Yeah. Lee Stevenson has a similar story with a pair of Lindströms. There are nylon guitar strings for acoustic guitars, but most guitar strings I've used have been metal. For an electric guitar, they have to be metal. He's still going. What has he done now? I have built a bloke with a wolfy head. I have built the aerials with the magnets. I've done quite a lot today, look. We've got magnetized aerialings. I've built a frameage. I've got that off the sprue. Now he can sit in there saying, I am a puppet in my box. Yeah, hello. I go shoot you now. Because it will destroy you. See, what I need is to do like some space Khajiit. And that's what I need to do. I need to make my own chapter of Space Marines that are based on Khajiit. That's what it is. He's in there, ensconced in a little happy shooty car with his growly wolf head. Thanks to our good friend Sutherland. Yeah, I've just googled that and now I look dumb. Don't know what I'm talking about. Would this be a good time to tell Fox that some antennae have an angle in them? Well, they do, but unfortunately, what happens is that bit also leans forward. This solid part here, so. At least it looks a bit more logical that way. I mean, this bit will be wibbly wobbly, but yeah. It just wouldn't look right if that was like that. It was like... You'd be like, wow, look at it that way. That's even worse, look. Hello. Oh, my camera's moved. How my camera moved? Oh no, my camera hasn't moved. Oh, my camera moved. So yeah, we can... I need to build some rotation into it so it looks a little less bad. No one will ever know. Right. What's next? I'm not going to glue that on because I need to be able to get into that paint. I'm going to... Should I glue the guy in? There's no complicated like consoles or dashboards to work around. And I could just glue the guy in because technically everything around here is irrelevant. You can't see it. You're not going to see it. You're never going to see it. But if this doesn't need to be glued in place, and this is openable, then if it's possible to get the guy out, might not be. It might not come out once you've actually got the... Then what I could do is paint the interior, and then having a pilot in it could be an option. So I can have it with a pilot or without a pilot. You can have him in it, or you can take him out, in which case that would be fun to paint. I'll probably paint him separately. And then once it's all done, I can glue all that in place. It doesn't matter if he's loose. He doesn't actually have to be glued in at all. But I probably will keep him outside just to make painting easier. I'm just going to do my head in now. Put it over there. Stick it to me. Stick it to my little metal box. A little metal box. What's next? What's in chat? Quick look at chat. Like a coat hanger wedged into a brown Ford Cortina acting as a radio rail in the 70s. Yes, that is a classic example. Guy down my road had this and we kept knocking it off after kick at football at it. Yes. For antennas, I think Skipper Ted once recommended plucking a whisker from a cat, preferably the neighbour's. Yes. Can I be a dummy and ask what kit this is, please? Certainly. You're not a dummy. I'm working on the Combat Patrol set, which is all of this. But currently we're doing the Invictus Battlesuit, which is you can buy the kit by itself. I've got a picture of it. There's the box. Is this thing. The Invictus Battlesuit. Which is like, in Warhammer terms, it's like my first Gundam. Got a dude in it, and it walks around on them legs there. But this is the Combat Patrol set, so you get a whole mess of Space Wolves and the Invictus Battlesuit. However, because it's Primaris, it's mostly just a whole mess of bog standard Primaris Marines with some extra bits you can make them to look a bit like Space Wolves. They're not specifically, apart from him, they're not actually specifically Space Wolves. They're just Primaris Intercessors and Primaris Reavers, and he's a specific character. And that's a bog standard battlesuit. You can buy that separately. You can buy all these guys. These 5 here, these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are just Primaris Reavers, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is just a squad of Primaris Intercessors, and he's the only specific Space Wolf bit. Danglebert Thromblemane, or whatever his name is. What's his name? Haldor Icepelt. Yeah, he's the named character. So he's the Invictus Battlesuit. Which is a bit like a Dreadnought, but without the dead guy, almost dead guy in it. If Dreadnoughts tend to have like almost on the verge of death people in them, like a walking coffin. This is like not that. He'll be sat in there. That'll be like that. You have 5 seconds to comply. I do like it. It's kind of cool. I do like it a lot. We've still got stuff to do. So we're not going to glue on the roll bars. I'm going to leave them unglued just so I don't have to fart about with them when I'm trying to paint the interior. What's next? Next we have the missile pod, which goes on the top here, and which glues onto this bit, which sits in the top there. Now again, for packing purposes and for transporting purposes, I'm not going to glue that in, but I'm going to glue the missile launcher to it. So we can do that bit next. Put the roll bar in here. What we'll do is we'll put him in there as well. I do like them heads. That's not a standard. That's 3D printed head on him there. Aerials. Aerials. How do they work? Ooh, not like that. Put them in there so they can just sit in there and be nice and wenged into place. Wenged? That's not a real word. That's not a real word, Sam. Right, so we want to make the missile pod. There's only 2 parts. And the 2 parts we need are a Kerplunk and also a Kerplunk. I think 39 and 38. What are we on? 5:15, 20 past 5. I hope you'll remember to put your clocks back, forward, beyond, within, whatever it is. I don't know, forward. Today it's British summertime now, if you're in the British. So it's actually 20 past 4 right now, but it says 20 past 5 because it's British summertime. And of course, because it's British summertime, the weather outside is 100-mile-an-hour winds and moist, and not pleasantness. So, yeah, typical British summertime, let's just be honest. Right, now this has got massive, great honking attachment points to it, so we're going to have to be creative with this one. Okay. Okay, where's my little... So we've got the missile, we've got the cover and the missile pedestal. We'll look at them attachment points. I can't get my little thin nippers in there, but I can't get my big ones in either because on the sprue there wasn't enough space. I'm going to have to get that in there. Now I think this is actually inside, so it doesn't really matter if these are a bit rough and ready. I need to try and get them off. This one's right on a... Hello, don't know where that went. I'll find that with my feet one day. Oh no, it's up Gutham's backside, never mind. There we go. So, yeah, I think it's actually covered up by this cowling anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's have a look. Chat doing. I like the look of that. Does it look good? Does it look... I'll start again. I like the look of that. It does look good. German camo? Yes, me thinks. Oh, yeah, go for it. Is girth classed as a rude word? Okay, I meant thickness. Same thing. No, girth is not a rude word. It's a comedy word. Whenever you describe girth, you're going to get grown men snickering because, of course, they are. It's a perfectly cromulent word that in British society can only ever be used to mean what you think it means. Totally forgot about that today, says Eon's car. Yeah, so did Mama Fox, but luckily I changed all the clocks last night. She says last night, I'll change all the clocks tomorrow because I can't be bothered now. So I've changed them all anyway. And she hasn't even mentioned it. She hasn't even noticed. Away with the fairies she is sometimes. So I'm not going to bother about getting these nice and pretty because, or as my old headmaster would say, because. There. You're not going to see any of it. It all just vanishes away into the distance. Magicalosity, but what I'm going to do is get rid of the honking great mould line on the bottom. Nothing worse than having a honking great mould line on your bottom. It's most inconvenient. So yes, I didn't get any work done on the Lehman Russ this week, unfortunately. So again, next week, hopefully, I'll get the time. I'll be able to crack on and finish the Tabletop Trauma Centre Lehman Russ. I'm still yo-yoing and back and forthing on what I'm going to build after the Lehman Russ. Sometimes I want to build my Malkadoran, my Macarius Vanquisher, but that does require me to then do resin, which I need to do anyway. It also requires me to actually get my finger out and paint my death core because I need to decide on colour schemes and such. Right, that's absolutely spot on, to be perfectly honest. Let's just get it glued in there. Sometimes I want to do my Valkyrie. Sometimes I want to do my Giora Doga. Really, I'm all at sea at the moment as to what I want to do next. After the Tabletop Trauma Centre Lehman Russ. I do, of course, have a what do you call it? The Dubry thingy. Wasbomb Blaster Jet for Tabletop Trauma Centre. So I could even technically go straight into filming another Tabletop Trauma Centre, but I've just finished doing a Wasbomb Blaster Jet. I don't really want to do another one straight away, so I'm not fully decided yet. Now this goes on there like that, and this sits like that. I think what we'll do is we won't glue that in place. We will make sure burpulorities. We'll make sure it doesn't foul anything else. Foul, that is. You see what I did there? It's foul. Chicken. Never mind. Is it like that? Okay, it's fine. It's not going to foul anything, is it? No, it'll be fine. So, what I'll do is put that on there. That on there like that. Move that out of the way where there's going to be glue. And this can just be glued into place. Chris, is it you tonight or is it you and Ted tonight? Please make sure to pimp your stream in the chat. Don't forget tonight, there's no dad stream tonight. Scaly Models isn't doing an in-between stream with him and Colin tonight because, as we said earlier, he's a bit poorly sick, is Scaly Models. He's a bit laid up in bed, so I'm assuming that. I don't know. He's not very well today. He's with us in chat, but he's a bit poorly, so no stream from Dad at 6 o'clock. But But I know it's either Chris or Ted and Chris tonight, and I'm not sure which. Fox, what is this fear of resin you have, says Panzer. It's not a fear. It's the old thing, at the risk of saying the thing I say all the time, I'm a painter, not a builder. It's the fact that you have to actually have some building and construction skills. And you have to get your finger out and make an effort. It's not fear, it's the fact that resin is kind of a pain in the arse. Copy. Because with plastic bits, you get them off the sprue, clean the nubs away, put them together and glue. There you go, done, that's it. With resin, you've got to get the two resin bits, fill in all the holes with filler, because it's have air bubbles in it if there are any. Reshape it. Before you do that, you've got to potentially reshape it in hot water or hairdryer to make it straight and not bent. And then you've got to glue it together with super glue, which is, oh, it's lined up wrong and it's too late, it's set. Or you've got to start drilling and putting rods in, and yeah, it's you need building skills to do resin, and I've not got building skills for resin, so I'm not afraid of it. I just see it as an unpleasant building experience for someone who just wants to get something built and then paint it. It's a lot of the building part that I don't enjoy, so we'll get there. But then again, you know, the Macarius Vanquisher that I bought and the Malcadorian Furnace that George very kindly bought me a Secret Santa look awesome, and there are only a few parts, so I'm biting the bullet. And I've got a whole mess of deathcore who are resin, but they are thankfully, you know, fairly simple to build as long as I can figure out the right arms. They're not hard to actually assemble, so it's more the building process is a pain in the bum. And also I hate the fact that CA glue is like, I'm going to put these two together and they're stuck. I can't wiggle things, I can't align stuff. Like, you know, all the hassle I had getting these things, feet lined up and stuff. I couldn't have done that with CA glue. It would have been like, I've got it on and it's not lined up and I'm stuck. It's glued in. There you go, done, tough. It's more just, it's not my favourite building experience. I need to wipe my nose. 1 second. Got the nose dribbled. Ew. Yeah. Nose dribbles across the universe. Right, there we go. It's more just, it's a faff and a pain in the arse. But those tanks do look fantastic. It's Fred at 7 PM tonight, Fox, says Graham McRobert. Oh, cool. Awesome. I must subscribe to Fred's channel. I keep forgetting to do that. I must do that. Go and subscribe to his channel if you don't. I need to emigrate to a warm country like Siberia, says Sarah Jane. I always forget about Fred. I apologise to Fred for doing that. It's just because normally when I finish this stream, the next couple of hours is like I go and make the dinner and do the washing up and stuff. So I don't really get to watch anything before, say, 8 o'clock. So I've got this blank spot for people's live streams between like 6 and 8 because I never get a chance to watch them, which is why I very rarely get a chance to watch Dad's in between show, because that's when I have to go and start making the dinner and stuff. So yeah, unless it's takeout night, in which case it's like woohoo, don't have to do any work and watch things. If we were doing takeout tonight, I might just sit and watch Fred. I keep meaning to. You can use a thick, slow-setting super glue to allow positioning, then zap it with kicker. I've tried them, but they're still not long enough. I'll just get used to it. Please, please, please do some more Gunpla, says Lee Stevenson. I do. I've got one of the things. Should I do that next? Is my Gyara Doga. I've got a Gyara Doga and a 160 no grade Freedom, and a Sinanju, and a load of HGs to do, and something else down. I've got my Kshatriya to do as well. Yeah, my Kshatriya, big Kshatriya to do. I've still got the snuffly nose. Hang on. There. Sniffly snuffly nose. I do want to do the Kshatriya because I want to do it in a Borderlands colour scheme style, but I don't know what colour scheme to do it in yet. Not quite decided. Right, so what we'll do is, I'm not going to magnetise this because there's nothing to magnetise it to, but if I'd thought ahead, I could have put some plastic card and a magnet in there. But what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to glue that in, or should I just glue it in place? Again, for packing purposes, you need to get rid of that nub for packing purposes for a start. Hello, get rid of your nubs. Gentlemen, sort your nubs. Yeah. Much better. Although I don't think this is really going to make much, because that's a basically big square right now. For packing, it's fine. But Burpulons. Although having said that, does that bit of plastic? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not making a massive difference to packing, so I can just glue that on, to be honest. Let's just glue that on. Let's just glue it on. I don't know why, because I was thinking I could just, when I play the game, I can just put it on, but it's not exactly a great fit, and I haven't planned ahead and put a magnet in there, so we'll just glue it. Let's just glue it. Yeah, I do want to do another Gunpla. When I do another Gunpla, I want to do it in Borderlands style, because I enjoyed doing the Cesabe in that Borderlands style, but of course that was a Patreon exclusive build, and nobody got to see that from patrons, so I want to do something in that style, because it's a good style. It's fun to do. It's hard work, but it's fun to do. I'll use extra thin. Always will have missiles going at a jaunty angle, because it's always have jaunty angles. Always have angles, and always make sure they're jaunty. Never have boringness in your models. If you build everything with everything facing forward and straight towards the camera, it's just kind of boring. Much more interesting if you cover up that bit of plastic where the other bit needs to go. Can that go in there? Yeah, I can still fit that in. That's cool. I'm just double checking. For some moment of horror, realised I've still got to get this plastic on top of here yet. I can do that. That's not impossible. That'd be fine. Cool. Do that later. I'm leaving, if you weren't here really, I'm leaving that bit off, because when I paint it, this is going to get him on my nose. It's going to get him away all the time. I'm just going to leave that off for now. I can add it later. And now get that glued in. A bit more on the spinny bit because it's set properly. What was I saying? Got no idea. Yeah, so I want to do a Borderlands style. I was debating. I really want to do the Kshatriya. Just can't decide on a colour scheme fully yet. I kind of roughly know what colour scheme, and I was torn between doing an actual themed Borderlands gun manufacturer, like, you know, Hyperion or Atlas or something, or just doing a generic, non-particularly branded Borderlands style. But I don't know yet. Dang, Fox has a lot of Gunpla in his stash. This kind of, not really. I've got, like I say, Freedom, Sinanju, Kshatriya, Yaradoga. And then that's all the master grade and big stuff I've got. But then I've got like a selection of some HGs and a couple. I've got real grade RX-78-2, and there's a few others in there. But not a lot of them. Not a lot. I've only got like, say, 7 or 8, maybe 9 or 10 kits that are mine to build. I've got a whole mess of kits that people have sent me to give away as prizes, which I haven't done for a long time, and I can't do at the moment. So they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs at the minute. So I'm not going to build them because they were given to me as prizes to give away. So yes, he does, Candy. I sent him a cool looking SD kit, which he hasn't done yet either, says Paul Di Tommaso. Yeah, I've got those SDs as well that people sent me, and I do need to get around to doing all of them. It's just the thing is with Gunpla is that I'm having coffee. The problem is with Gunpla, or not with Gunpla, but the problem is that I got burnt out on Gunpla. I got really frustrated with the fact you can't just build them and paint them. You have to build them and then plan everything and have things on sticks, and you've got to fart around. And I realised towards the end what I needed to do was not worry about the posability, because I was like stressing massively to figure out how to paint something so I can still pose it and move it around. And then I realised, stupid thing to do. If I'm spending 100 hours painting a Gunpla that somebody's going to buy for 300 quid, they're not going to be playing with it. They're not going to stop moving the hands around. So my realisation was, I'll build the Gunpla in a fixed pose, all glued together. Therefore, there's no issues with paint scraping. I don't have to have 100 things on sticks. I can just build the frame and paint it. And I realised that as I was doing the Cesabe, that's what I needed to do. But by that point, I had become burnt out on Gunpla, so I decided to just get that to one side. I'd started painting Warhammer. And that was like my I'm always the way that if I get burnt out on something or bored with something, I can't keep doing it. I have to stop and go and do something else until I get the urge to go back and do it again. Because if I start doing something I'm not really wanting to do, it's subpar work. I'm resenting what I'm doing. And that's why I've said in the past, you'll always see me, I'll jump around from thing to thing. There's no guarantee I'll keep doing Warhammer forever. I'll probably get bored of this eventually. And move on to the next thing. Apologies for the coffee. Move on to the next thing. But, you know, I'll go back to Gunpla. It's just, I'm getting the itch now to do some more Gunpla. And now I know I can do the glued fixed pose. That's fine. But the other problem I've got right now is I'm running out of space to store things that I've painted because I can't post anything. I can't sell anything because I can't post anything. I can't go to the post office to sell things because of, you know, lockdown. So I've got no space in my cabinets for anything bigger than a Warhammer vehicle. Warhammer vehicles, I can build them and put them in a storage box. And that's it. I can wait for them to be painted. Gunpla, I've got nowhere to put them. Like, I don't want to build it and then not paint it. I need to get it built and painted, but then I need to sell it. Gunpla, I have no interest in having Gunpla in my cabinets. I'll just sell those. But there's nowhere for me to put them once they're painted before I sell them, and I can't sell them yet. So everything's kind of... Right at the minute, the life is like kind of like the Suez Canal right now, because I can't physically go to the post office and post stuff, and there's no real suitable solution for me. Right, there are solutions, but not that I can do right now. So I can't sell stuff. So it's kind of all backing up in behind. I've got no space to put things when they're built. So, yeah, so I'm having to partially depend on Warhammer because I can build it and stick it in a storage box until it can get painted. So. Partly that as well. But we'll get there anyway. We'll get there eventually. Don't worry. There will be more Gunpla. But I have spent a while trying to figure out what colour scheme to give the Kshatriya, and I really can't come up with a decent colour scheme. It's really hard to figure out a colour scheme for Gunpla for some reason. Who would have thunk it? It's one of the hardest things you can do. We've done that. We've done that. That we've done. That we've not done. That we have done. That we have done. Yes. Next, we've got to make some arm bobs. What are we on? 5:37. Nearly time to go home. Nearly home time. Look at chat. Which SD kit did you send me, Paul? I can't remember which one it was. I've had a few, so without looking at them regularly, I can't remember who sent me what. In fact, let me know anyway, because what I like to do is write on the box who sent me stuff, so that when I do pull out the stash, I can say that was sent to me by. And I have forgotten now. Not that I've forgotten, it's just there's a lot of kits in there. I don't know who sent me what. What did you send me? I can't remember. Let me know and I'll write it on the box when we finish streaming. We get a pen. I probably have written on the box already, but just in case. Paul Di Tommaso. Just in case you can remember. If you can remember. Because I did get a few. I got a few off Vincent as well, so I'm not sure which is which. Even if you get bored, I'll still watch. Yeah, if I'm bored with something, I don't want to do it. That's the thing. If I'm trying to teach you how to paint something and I'm bored with it and I don't want to do it, I'm not going to teach you well. It's not going to be good viewing. It comes out in the process. I'm not going to be specific about any examples, but there are examples in my library of videos where I can see that I've got bored with that build. And it just suddenly changes either in the middle of an episode or for the last couple of episodes where it's like, I'm bored with this now. We're just going to get it done. There you go. And luckily it still came out like good content, but I can see myself where I've got bored and made changes to my plans and maybe cut a few steps of the project. Like I've thought, right, well, I was going to do this, and this, but I'm kind of bored now, so I'm just going to do this, and this, and leave the other thing out. Well, I can see that. I don't like doing that. SDRX78, excellent. There's the Raging Modeler. So I need to make a note of this. If you have sent me stuff in the past for me to build, do let me know, because I need to make sure I've written it on the boxes. Paul D. Tommaso. And I didn't start doing that at first, but I started doing it later on. There's some things I haven't noted down. Raging Modeler. It was the SDRX78 2. I shall note that on the box. Raging Modeler, which is of course Adam. Paul Damaso, I can't recall which SD kit specifically I sent you. I'd have to see what you got. Okay, I probably did actually write it on there. I'll have a look anyway. Although it does mean trying to go up the ladder into the spare room and not fall all the things fall off the shelf. But I'll have a look. Got loads of stuff. We're up to... Okay, I think I've caught up with chat. What's next? Next is arms. You know, when I started the stream, my plan was to have a quiet talking voice all the way through, but as I get carried away with the conversation, I talk twice as fast and twice as loud. So, right, well, the next step is arms, and to be honest, that's going to involve a lot of gluing and filling gaps with the glue, which is not something I can do quickly in sort of 10 minutes. So I think what we'll do is we'll leave it there for the building. Although, can I build the slappy hand? I could build the slappy hand, maybe. How many parts are involved in the hand of slappiness? Because I'm going to give him the hand of slappiness and the gun in the holster on his leg. Oh, it's going to take a little while to clean the fingers, I think. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll leave it there because it's all involved bits now. It's nothing quickly I can assemble together. What we'll do, let me get those bits, looking at the camera again, those bits out. I have some memories of sending you the SDRX78 mainly because of the slow burn peanuts. Slow burn peanuts. Yeah, I think I remember those. And I do feel bad, but it's like because so many people have sent me stuff, and it's not that I don't. It's not that I don't care, and it's not that I'm not interested or I'm not grateful. It's just that I have the worst memory in the world. And for a while, I didn't write on the boxes of stuff that got sent to me what stuff was, so I didn't. And now I look back at it now and think, right, who the hell sent me that? That's why after a while I started writing on the box because I knew I wouldn't remember. So yeah, so if you have sent me something and I forget who you are, it's not that I don't care. I do apologize. I'm grateful. I just don't remember. And what makes it more complicated is that I say a big box of stuff in there is stuff that people sent me to give away. So I can't make it, but I can't do giveaways. The reason I can't do giveaways right now, it was costing me half my monthly income to send all the giveaway prizes out, and I had to just stop doing that. I'm not gonna do anything with them. I'll still keep them, and then when I'm in a better position to do so, we can start doing giveaways again. Yeah. Sneaks back in and sits down and says, Muse. Hello, Muse. We saw you sneak in. You need to stop telling us you're sneaking in because then you're not really sneaking. You know that, don't you? You do know that. Right, so that's where we've got so far. He's a bit armless right now. Never mind. A bit armless. But it's looking pretty good. I do like that. It's kind of cool. I like the dude in it. I do like the primary. I'll be honest, I do like the primary. It's very dark. It's dark. What's going on here? Let's turn on this extra light. What happens? Not much. Oh. Yeah, he's looking at. I do like the Primaris Marines. He's even as Primaris Marines go, he's a bit of a chunky boy in there. So, and of course, when I do mine, I haven't put a magnet in there, but that's fairly stable. I may put a mag. I haven't planned ahead and put a magnet on that bit, but I could do. That's not going to stop it spinning round. See, a choice I've got is to glue it together. But then I've got the storing it in the transport box choice again. That is easier to stick in a transport box than that. We shall see. I don't know yet. But if I did, I'd have it on a cool pose like that. Like he's walking forward and looking to this side, because that would be boring. That's just boring. Having him looking forward like that. Boring. Having him that way, it doesn't really go that far that way. That way. Looks like he's looking and it's the ambling, sidling forward. Always about going for the interesting pose. Where are we up to? Chat. Waves at the sneaky Muse. Hey all, hey Muse, says everybody. So there we go anyway. That's where we've got so far. We'll leave it there, I think, because it's 1:45 now, and I don't want to start anything else on this build because it's all involved arms and limbs and bits. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, as always, if you don't already do so, please do consider supporting this channel. I depend on my supporters to keep this channel alive. Without them, this wouldn't exist. I wouldn't do any content of any kind. So I wouldn't be able to do YouTube at all. So big, massive thank you to my supporters, my Patreon supporters at patreon.com/modelmakinguru. The address is just there. And of course, my channel members who join by pressing the join button, both of them pay my wages. They keep the bills paid. They put food on my table. So big, massive thank you to them. If you'd like to become one and help support the channel, go to Patreon or click on the join button and you can help support the channel too as well. You get access to content early, week advert free. I'll start again. You get access to content a week early, advert free for the most part, and there is occasional exclusive items. I am starting to do some blip dates, which are little tiny update videos purely for members and patrons. I've done one so far, as and when things interest me, and I can do a little 5-minute, 10-minute video about something. So do keep your eyes open for those if you are a patron or a member. Don't forget, of course, I do have Amazon stores where you can buy many interesting things. So do check out the links in the description below for my Amazon stores in the US, UK, and Canada. Where you can buy all kinds of things at no extra cost to you, and it makes me some income. And of course, goblingaming.co.uk and emodels.co.uk, links in the description below the video. If you need to pick up tabletop or model making stuff, use those links. It tells them I sent you, and I get some income from that as well at no cost to you. So do check out different ways you can support the channel, because without you guys, without people actually physically supporting this channel, I can't do it. It wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to do this, and it would just go away. That will be it. So if you want to keep this channel alive, please do consider supporting it. All your support is much gratefully appreciated. Now, I shall make sure my buttons are working. Now, I did this last week, and I pressed the TED button and it worked, and then I pressed the go home button and it didn't. So it doesn't guarantee the buttons will work, but I shall say thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Now, I say, I don't know if we got... Did somebody say it was Chris's stream tonight? Forgotten already now. This seems like a lot of work, says George Gabriel. Was that about the aerials? Yeah, but it means I can send it to people, or I can store it. Because think about it, George. If I was playing this in a game, I've got my little transport case. Trying to get that into a transport case that's only that tall on each layer. You've got to think about, if you're going to play a game, how are you going to transport it? I like to think like that. Anyway, yes. I can't remember what people said. It's either Chris tonight at about 8 o'clock. Assume it's 8 p.m. Go and have a look on Gross Models channel. It might be 8:30, but you assume 8 p.m. And check out Gross Models Warhammer Sunday. It might be Chris and Ted, in which case I've got no idea which channel it'll be on, but check out Skipper Ted as well. Someone did say as well, don't forget Fred at 7 o'clock. No Dad tonight, though. No Dad and Chris, no Dad and Colin, because he's poorly sick. So do make sure to go and check out all of those. But don't forget, of course, like, I'm talking rubbish now. Let's just drink more coffee. Hang on. Oh. I also need a great big wee. Don't forget, of course, to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any content. I will be back tomorrow, Monday, with the eModels team on the eModels channel for eModels Monday. There's a lot of stuff to talk about at the end of the stream, isn't there? And during this week, I will try fit this bugger in. Try as best I can to fit him in a bit more. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, until next time, take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome. You there. You there. Go be awesome. And until next time, here's hoping the buttons work. Adios, amoebas.